They've turned the ball over 16 times this year. It's just the first 8 weeks. So is this going to continue, or is this a bad stretch like it was in 2021? That the faucet turned off in the turnovers and turned on in defenses getting turnovers. They're still -4. But they've had stretches like this where they've had 12, 14, 19, 15 turnovers over an 8-game stretch in seasons that Tyreek Hill played. Mm-hmm. So it can't just be that. But I don't know if this is going to be a symptom or a disease for this team.
It's a very thought-provoking question, because I would rather say it is the disease, like you said, because like Andy Reid says, hey, we just get rid of the we get rid of the turnovers, this team looks a whole lot better, and that's the case. But are the turnovers happening because of other flaws, or are the turnovers themselves the flaws? When you see like Patrick Mahomes hold on to the football too long and get strip sacked, that feels like it's something else's fault. That feels like that's a symptom. If it's a special teams turnover, a muffed punt, that's the disease in the moment, right? I mean,
right.
It's just, there's nothing schematic larger going on there. Probably a little bit of both, but I'm interested to keep kind of digging into that some, especially because it can vary so much from one game to another. 5 turnovers in one horrendous game will really jack up those numbers.
That's right.
They didn't turn the ball over at all against a good Vikings team, but that's the only one that they didn't turn the ball over anyway. So,
but the worst 8 weeks of turnovers in the 6 years Mahomes has played, the records were 6-2, 4-4, 6-2, 4-4, 7-1 last year, and 6-2 this year. There have been much worse stretches when we're talking about turnovers are killing this team, and they were 500 in those 8 weeks. This team turnovers have been killing them, and they're 6-2.
Yep.
We'll see if they can turn that around, because if they can, then yeah, there's a whole lot ahead of this team as to how good they can be, but they have to stop that, because they can't keep, as Travis Kelce said, shooting themselves in the foot and hurting themselves in these games. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk to Bill Brandmeier, tell you about something really cool coming up at Topgolf next weekend, how you can help a lot of kids around the area. We'll do that next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It is The Zone on this Thursday edition. We'll talk with Craig Stout. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up later on in the show. Right now, very pleased to be joined by Bill Brandmeier, who does some fantastic work around the city and certainly here with Sports Radio 810, and an awesome event that we absolutely love, and it's one of the more cool things that takes place that also goes to help out a worthy cause. Bill Brandmeier joining us with the Blasters coming up in about, 10 days from now, so that'll be awesome. Bill, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Hey, love being on The Zone. I consider this program the heartbeat of the station.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And it's the youth of Kansas City that needs to come out and listen to the value of sports talk in their lives, and having you two here. Josh has been a part of the station. I've watched him develop and grow and turn into the professional that he is today.
You've said a lot of nice, untrue things so far today, Bill.
No. You certainly are one of my favorite characters around here. Your talent is exuberant, and I watched you develop from the time you first came on board, probably 5 years ago, right?
Something like that, maybe even longer now. It's been a minute, yeah.
Well, the thing that you brought to 810, which I love, is how do you engage with a younger audience? How do we get ourselves out there in all these different spaces? Sharewaves is trying to reach young people through our outreach. We're targeting kids in middle school and high school. They're hard to reach. They're hard to get. These college kids are all so busy doing all kinds of different things, and we need to be able to find a way as a radio station to reach out to a younger generation and get them involved in what this is all about, which is building community through sports, right?
Yeah, and so Sharewaves, it's not only building community through sports. I mean, obviously that's the main mission, but it's building community through sports with those that don't have the resources, right? To be able to take part and be a part of that community.
Correct. When you talk to us about what our target is under-resourced community, kids who have gone without, kids who have limited access to high-quality sports experiences, knowing that the value of a youth sports experience is tremendous, that a kid who has the ability to engage and participate in sports is amazing. It does so many different things for them, from not only their social connections, learning to be on a team, how to win and lose, how to fight for a goal, how to listen, how to do, how to perform, how to, all the things, build sportsmanship. The value of sports is really, everyone agrees it's a really incredibly transformative space to help develop our kids. But what's happening is, because of COVID, not only have we lost kids to their screens and to their phones, and we've lost kids just getting physically active. The kids are just sitting around playing games on their screens, not getting the kinds of physical activity they need. And when you separate a kid from physical activity, you're missing one of the key components to developing them as a person. The transformative power of sports, goes without saying. But what's happening in the inner city of Kansas City, in the small spaces where kids are experiencing sports deserts, is we're losing these kids. And what's happening on a national basis, no matter socioeconomic, doesn't matter, is we have a mental health crisis going on. Our kids are suffering because they have been disconnected and isolated and alone. They're feeling depressed and they don't know what to do. And physical activity is proven to be the answer to help kids reconnect, and in a way that even scientists are just now understanding. The science is really clear. Physical activity is good for all of us. Let's get outside and let's play. That makes a difference in every kid's lives. But what we're finding is that kids are missing out because of cost, because of time, and because of access. And the idea that cost is a barrier, kids should not be suffering because they can't afford to play or to play at a quality level. So Shareways is stepping in the gap. We're trying to close the gap so that the have-nots and the haves both have equal access to the same types of experiences. And we are finding places within the city that need our help, and we're investing our time and energy and our money into those spaces so that we can help kids all across the city.
And the Blasters is one of the more cool events that takes place, and that's going to be at Top Golf. It's coming up Sunday, November 12th at Top Golf in Overland Park. What takes place with that, and how does that go to help out the under-resourced communities that you talk about with that, the sports experiences?
The Blasters has been a lot of fun. It's not the Masters. It's an event like no other. It's one of those things where you show up and you're not going to believe who else is at this event. We have had signature guests. The first year we did it, we had pro golfer Robert Streb and Alex Springer, who's won the Watson Challenge. We had some really high-level golfers competing. We did a prize package, and they competed at a high level. The second year, Tom Watson agreed to be our partner, and we raised money for First Tee and Youth on Course, and we raised $75,000, and we gave it to these two organizations that do an incredible job with teaching kids the game of golf. The third year, Bill Self said that he would come and help support us, and he was our partner, and it was amazing. And while we were with Bill Self and walking around and seeing what was happening, he was introducing himself to all the people there. We had about 100 kids in the corner, and they just went crazy when Bill Self came, and they all got gathered around. They got a picture with Bill Self, and it was just really cool. And my mom was standing over my shoulder, and she said, "Bill, you need to move the kids to the middle. You need to show people the kids you are impacting in Kansas City. Why not bring them to the middle of the event?" And so this year we've decided that our featured guest, our guest hosts, are the kids that we serve, and we're going to have over 150 kids there that have never played golf. They're coming to the Blasters at 5 o'clock. From 5 to 6:30, the kids are going to get to play. We're going to have golf pros in every bay. We're going to teach kids how to swing a golf club like for the first time. We're going to have kids from the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, kids from Girl Scouts, kids from different organizations where we've engaged. They're all going to come together. We're going to tell stories about how we're helping these kids. At 6:30, they come out of the bays, and our corporate sponsors get to have the Battle of the Bays for the rest of the night. So from 7 to 10, it's going to be the Blasters, the party, everyone that love, all you can drink, all you can eat. Let's not get wasted, but let's have fun. And it's going to be a party.
Don't get blasted at the Blasters,
Don't
all
get
right?
blasted. No, it is a blast. It is one of those great events. We have guests. Johnny Russell was there last year.
Nice.
2 years ago, we had Kareem Rush is always there. We get Tony Temple to come. All the celebrities from the station get to show up. The Zone's going to have their own bay, so
That's
you're
right.
going to come see the Zone. You get to come see the program, Border Patrol. All of the characters that you have fallen in love with here at the station will be there, engaging with the community, all for the purpose of raising money so that we can deliver a solution to kids that really need it.
How do they get involved? How do they show up? How are they there? And what are ways that people can help out?
So the best way to find out and to learn more and to register is to go to the SharewaysFoundation.org website, SharewaysFoundation.org/Blasters, or go to the event tab and go to the Blasters. All the information is there. Ways to register, ways to engage. We have Battle of the Bays, which is a bay sponsorship, and you get to bring 6 golfers and 2 guests. We have spectator tickets where you can just buy a $150 spectator ticket, come, have a great meal, hang out, listen to Ashton Martin, our DJ. He's incredible. He's gonna bring the life of the party. We're gonna tell stories about how sports impacts our lives. We're gonna have special guests there. We're having members of the KU football team coming. We're gonna have KU golf teams are coming to help educate and coach the kids. We're going to have golf pros from Watson Links mentors out there helping with the kids. It's going to be a really great engagement, a lot of life, a lot of energy. It's Chiefs bye week, so
Yeah.
what else are you going to do, right? Come to the Blasters. It's going to be fun.
And true or not true, there's a rumor that Kelsey and Taylor Swift will be there.
Yeah, well, Stephen St. John seems to have this personal relationship with Travis Kelce, and he's trying to work some magic for me. No, it's bye week.
Yeah.
You never know who
Yeah,
might show up.
right. Kids, I'm joking.
No,
Okay, I'm joking.
Hey, spread the rumor.
But Bill will be there, and Josh will be there.
I've seen Bill shake it off. I tell you that.
I
That's
can
right.
dance. Hey, 5 years ago when we started Sharewaves, I asked Josh to MC Whipple in the Hollow. He came out. He had no idea what the heck he was doing. He played through. He was incredible. I knew that right then that we had a really talented person on our team, and you've just grown since then, Josh. You're one of my favorite people.
I appreciate that. I saw you do a cartwheel, and I got to MC a brief battle between Mitch Holthus and George Brett. So
Yes.
that holds on as a
pretty good.
very memorable experience for sure.
Bill, you're the man. ShareWavesFoundation.org. The Blasters coming up November 12th there at Top Golf in Overland Park. Bill, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, man.
Appreciate it. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next. All right, thank you to Bill Brandmauer. Again, that's sharewavesfoundation.org. You can go and check that out for the Blasters coming up a week from Sunday, November 12th. That'll be a lot of fun in giving back and helping out some of the youth in the community that are underserved when it comes to the sports resources, because we know it is a very expensive endeavor if you are going to be playing youth sports. That is unfortunate. It is an unfortunate reality. So those that are underserved, Sharewaves doing what they can to help even the playing field, so to speak, figuratively, literally as well. Let's talk some Chiefs football. We do that now with Craig Stout from KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, and the KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Jason. It's good to hear your voice again this week.
It's about time. We have 21 questions for you. This first one comes from @JB Brisco.
Perfect.
Yes, that's right.
I'm more interested in hearing this question than anything else that I've heard this week.
I get it. I totally get it. His question on Twitter sent to the show, his question was, what happened, Craig?
Oh, man.
That was it. That was easy. Ask Craig, what happened?
Okay, well, that's going to take about 5 hours for me to get through here. So I hope you guys have some time on your schedule.
Is it? I mean, is it as easy as the 5 turnovers? And it's like you turn the ball over 5 times, you're not going to win, and then you move on to the next one.
I mean, that's kind of the way. It seems oversimplifying it, but yes. I mean, yeah, there are all of those 5 turnovers and kind of the way the offense is operating right now. But when you boil it down, this defense did not play poorly. I know that people maybe didn't love the run defenses as much as they have in previous weeks. They allowed 3.2 yards per carry on designed runs. I will take that every day of the week and Sundays. I mean, just an absolutely incredible performance. Their yards per play were 3.7 on the day. That would be tops in the NFL if that was throughout the season. Yes, the Denver Broncos are a bad football team, but the Chiefs defense made them look like a bad football team when they weren't put in situations where they were giving up short fields. Again, the Denver Broncos, when they were on their scoring drives, their average starting field position was at the Chiefs' 29.5-yard line. Like that's hard to play defense when you are already in field goal range. It's just so easy for the offense to get in their bag. The Chiefs defense maybe once a drive allows a 10 or 11-yard play, or maybe allows a third down conversion on a 3rd and short or something like that. That's just the way Steve Spagnuolo is operating this year. But they don't typically allow multiples of them. When you're starting at the 29-yard line on average, you allow a 15-yard play, all of a sudden it's an end goal situation in some of these turnovers, or in the Nicole Hardman situation of fumbling the ball. That's a touchdown. So it's just hard to keep teams out of the end zone. And so, it really does just feel like, hey, 5 turnovers, quit turning the ball over, and this team all of a sudden looks a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs' defense gave up 24 points. There's a huge asterisk next to that because of what you just talked about in those touchdown drives. I mean, 10 of those 24 points came on a 10-yard drive and a 5-yard drive. I mean, it's like if you're the defense, I'm not saying they get annoyed, because there have been plenty of times where the offense has picked up the defense, and this is one to where the defense is doing the heavy lifting right now, and that's just part of being a team. But 4 scoring drives for the Broncos, totaling 104 yards to put up 24 points, is it's a recipe for how you have a bad team or an inferior team win. And not only win, but win by 2 touchdowns and win by 15 points. And it just, Travis Kelce called it embarrassing, and the effort and how they came out and things like that. My question to you, Craig, and Craig Stout's our guest, we discussed it in the first hour, Josh and I did, and I don't know the answer to it, so it might be more complicated than just picking one side or the other. But the 5 turnovers, are they more a symptom, or are they the disease? Because if they're the disease, then okay, you fix that, you move on. If they're the symptom, I'm much more concerned, because if the 5 turnovers are the symptom of a bigger disease going on, then you've got to worry about that before you can even stop the turnovers. How would you characterize what we've seen, the 16 turnovers through 8 games for this Chiefs offense? Is that just the disease, that's the issue, you stop that and everything will certainly look better? Or is that the symptom coming from a disease of something bigger?
Well, I would like to have, just a happy silver thread answer there, but unfortunately, it's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, absolutely.
You look at like the NBS turnover there. Sure, yeah, that stinks. I know that we're not happy with NBS, generally as a fan base right now, with the amount of money he's making and the production that he's got. But that fumble that he had, defender, just hit him as he's turning around. That's nothing. That stuff happens. That's football. Like I'm not worried about ones like that. I'm worried about Nicole Hardman dropping a punt after last week being kind of scolded by Dave Tobe about the way that he was fielding punts. Comes out on the field, fumbles a punt. Like that's a mistake. That's a worry. That is a concern to me. The bigger concern, Patrick Mahomes' 2 turnovers. Patrick Mahomes really seems like he only trusts Travis Kelce at the moment. And, maybe a little bit of Justin Watson. I shouldn't shortchange wide receiver 1 here. But I think it's a situation where he's not throwing with anticipation, and he's forcing things into areas that they need not be. It's resulted in some interceptions. It's resulted in some turnovers that this offense hasn't typically had, because they're not having to force things. They're not having to rely on some of that sort of stuff. Then you look at his fumble, the sack fumble there. He's holding on to the ball forever. Why? Because receivers aren't getting open. He's not able to throw with anticipation. If he's on his first read, and that first read is a little bit late coming on the break, He is late to shift to his second read. He gets to his second read, now all of a sudden, that guy was online. All of a sudden, it's off schedule because now the defense can close on that. I know that people are, looking at screenshots, looking at things. There are times when receivers are open. Patrick Mahomes may not be to that point in the progression yet because maybe he's a little bit delayed, because maybe that's the way that they do, the thing is architected. But it's not as simple as just saying, oh, clean up the turnovers, 2 hands on the ball, and now all of a sudden everything's going to be good. There is an underlying issue here, and it is that trust. It is that level of involvement that he's willing to throw with anticipation to these young wide receivers, because he's not sure where they're going to go, when they're going to go, what the entire route design is going to be, because these guys just aren't crisp, clean, or consistent with the way that they're running things right now.
Yeah, I think I would almost categorize, if I looked at the 5 turnovers, I would put them into the different categories between a disease or a symptom. A disease would be MVS's fumble. That's just, it happens. You catch the ball, you're turning, helmet hits the football. That's football. That takes place. It's a perfect timing thing, and he was close. He was a half second away from that being incomplete. I mean, it was almost the same as Miles Sanders in the Super Bowl, only it was sort of a beat quicker than Miles Sanders got hit by Snead and fumbled the football, and a little bit longer for that third foot and more of a tuck for MVS. That's a disease. That thing doesn't happen very often. The symptoms are Mecole Hardman muffing the punt because Dave Toub and the coaching, and we want him back there. We want to catch the ball. Was he too greedy? Maybe, but was he greedy in that, okay, he was too greedy in trying to return it. Are you too greedy in having him catch the ball at the 6-yard line instead of just getting away from it? Because, these punters are really good. Yeah, and it's difficult to catch the football, too. Well, they can down it inside the 10. Well, it's already at the 6. So what are they going to down it at the 2? I would gladly take the ball at the 2 rather than the Broncos taking the ball at the 10 when it was fumbled from or muffed from Mecole Hardman. The fumble by Patrick Mahomes, I would put that as a symptom as well. The interception to Travis Kelce, I think I'm going to categorize that as a disease and something that's you can clean up. And I know people would look at it and go, well, Sky Moore was open, and that's going to be part of not trusting Sky Moore. I think on that play, I think that was part of Mahomes and the flu and everything. When he throws it, the ball typically doesn't leave his hand that looks like it's coming out low and wobbly. And when he threw that ball, it almost looked like he short-stepped it. And, everybody that's thrown a football before knows that every once in a while that, those that aren't, sent here from a planet that makes quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, you throw the ball and every once in a while you just feel it come out the wrist and it just goes low and flutters. Yeah. That's what it looked like. And the defender dives for it. I think if Mahomes throws it where he probably wants to throw it and it comes out of his arm perfectly, it's not thrown at the thigh of Travis Kelce. It's probably thrown at the helmet of Travis Kelce. And does the defender dive to make the interception there? That's one of those things that's like, okay, he didn't have a great day. That happens. He's not having an amazing season. That happens. But I think more times than not, that ball is going to come out clean. Maybe it's knocked away and not a completed pass, but not into the hands of a defender. So I think there's both going on, and it's just a matter of can those be cleaned up? Because if they can, then this offense is obviously good enough to win a Super Bowl, and the defense is clearly good enough to win the Super Bowl, Craig.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. I like that you are pinning that one as a disease and a literal disease. So
that's right.
I enjoy.
That's right. Maybe that was the genesis for the whole thing. maybe that was the jumping off point.
I like that. I like that a lot. No, the defense is certainly good enough to win a Super Bowl, and we're going to see absolutely the biggest test of the season this week against the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, if this Chiefs offense turns the ball over, does not move the ball, it's going to be a very long day for the Chiefs defense because there's only so much you can do to try and limit what the Dolphins do. It's going to happen. Like, they're going to score. They're going to put points on the board. Tyreek Hill's going to get loose. You can do everything in your power to stop him, and guess what? He's still going to get free. You really need, and that's why it's so much of a focus. We spent years kind of watching this offense move the ball so well, put points on the board so well, that we got to the point where, we just needed defense to come up with 2 to 3 stops a game, and that's all that was really needed. Now it's the polar opposite. Like, we're looking at it, we're going, hey, offense, just be competent for 2 or 3 drives a game, and this defense will step up well enough. It is one of those that I know that they're going to get there. I know that they can achieve that level of success. I know that they can go farther than that. But as it seems right now, everything is so hard. Everything is so difficult. We haven't seen an offense. Yeah, I know they're top 5 in DVOA. Like, I understand all the advanced metrics still love this Chiefs offense, but everything seems so much more difficult to move the ball, to things going, than it ever has with Patrick Mahomes. And maybe that's the concern there. That's why there's so much discussion about what's wrong with this offense. Why are they broken? They don't have drives where it just feels like, oh, wow, that was easy mode again. Okay, cool. It used to be that there'd be 2 to 3 of those a game, and there's none right now. It just doesn't feel like at any point this offense flips the switch and they have an awesome drive where they move the ball down the field. They're able to advance things easily there. The Denver Broncos have not been a good defense this year. Certainly they're improving over the past 3 weeks, partially due to playing the Chiefs. But this doesn't feel like anything that is coming easily, and we're now 8 weeks into the season. This is the point where Andy Reid tries to keep stuff close to the vest, where things start to go a little more vanilla, and it feels like it's been vanilla and a little bit stagnant all year long. So I'm a little bit afraid of what's coming down the pipe. They're certainly going to be a playoff team. They're certainly going to be there when it's all said and done. But there's going to be a stretch right here where if typical Andy Reid shows up, this offense could look even worse than we've seen it so far this season, and that's a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos and the red zone defense, it's like, well, the Broncos have been playing some pretty good red zone defense. Yeah, they have. The 1 for 8 for the Chiefs against the Broncos has helped skew that because the Broncos are 50% on the season in allowing touchdowns on defense. They are 2/3 allowing touchdowns in the red zone when they don't play the Chiefs. So, I mean, they've played some. It's just that matchup, for whatever reason, has not gone the Chiefs' way. Craig Stout's our guest, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, and the KC Laboratory Podcast. This is going to be an open-ended question, Craig, so you can really take it wherever you want. But halftime of the Dolphins will be the halfway point for the season, so I guess kind of halfway right now, sort of like the All-Star break in baseball, not necessarily specifically halfway, but as we call it, sort of the halfway point. Where's this team at in your mind? I mean, you can take it wherever you want, where you can talk defense, offense, you could talk about what your expectations were to now, you could talk about where they are for the overall season with other teams in the AFC, but where do you think this team is at as we look at halfway point in the season right now?
Oh, I still think they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the AFC pretty easily. And if the offense flips the switch at any point, again, this is how much leeway we've given Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. We're 8 weeks into the season, and this offense has looked the worst that it ever has under Patrick Mahomes. And by and large, we're sitting here talking about how the offense doesn't look good. But by and large, there's still parts in the backs of all of our brains that are just going, it'll happen. It's going to happen. So if that happens, they're the best team in the AFC still. This defense is so good. It is so legit. The pass rush is terrific. The secondary has been excellent. They are going through some serious attrition at the linebacker position right now, but that will get rectified towards the end of the year, and it speaks to the depth of this team that they've been able to absorb that and stay a top 5 defense so far. They really are one of the best teams in the league still. I don't look around and see very many teams that I say, hey, listen, if this offense puts it together just a little bit more, the Chiefs can't beat. There's nobody that I look at and I'm scared of for any reason. Yeah, the 49ers have a terrifying defensive line. Guess what? They've always had a terrifying defensive line. Their shortcomings always happen on offense. And with this Chiefs defense, it's a different way of winning football games right now. But they're going to step up. They're going to be good in those scenarios. Same with the Eagles on the NFC. On the AFC side, the Buffalo Bills look the weakest that they have in a little while. The Cincinnati Bengals certainly are getting better, but they still don't look terrific. And guess what? That offensive line is still hurting. This Chiefs pass rush would get after Joe Burrow in all these games. And the Miami Dolphins are up and down. Yeah, they're a great offense. That defense is really bad. Like, it's not good. There's going to be a lot of games that they're going to be in shootouts, and I know that doesn't bode necessarily well for the Kansas City Chiefs offense, but it is a scenario where if the Chiefs defense can get some stops, now all of a sudden this is a game again. This is a team that the Chiefs can beat. So, yeah, for all this doom and gloom, for everything that we've talked about through the first 8 weeks of the season and at halftime 8.5 weeks of the season, this is still a team that is favored to be in the Super Bowl, that is favored to win the AFC, that is favored even to be the number one seed. So it is funny to be in this scenario for once, because it is such a polar opposite scenario that we're used to, where the defense is great and the offense is struggling a little bit here, that you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the hope is that it's going to drop on the side of the offense being good, because once that happens, look out. Chiefs could finish up the rest of the season and just be a steamroller come January and February, or it may be going into the playoffs and saying, okay, defense, let's try and get us through so that we can get to the offseason and make the necessary offensive adjustments and additions to make this offense go again.
Yeah, and the Dolphins may be getting healthy, too. I mean, we'll see if Teron Armstead plays this weekend. But looks like they believe Connor Williams, the starting center, will return after missing a couple of games with a groin injury. Jalen Ramsey got his first action last week, and Xavier Howard, who's missed the last 2 games with a groin injury, is expected to, or at least the thought is that he's going to return this weekend. He was limited at practice yesterday for the Dolphins. But if they get, they haven't had Ramsey and Xavier Howard out there at the same time. So this could be the first game they have that. And their starting center, and they may have Teron Armstead back, so which is perfectly fine. Put them all out there. Let's see what happens. Let's go. Let's see who the best team is when they go and play there in Germany. Craig Stout is our guest. Before we get a prediction from you, you and I talked about on the 21 Questions, the KC Sports Network podcast earlier this week. We talked about the defense, and you said, okay, so a defensive lineman that you're looking at to have a big game, and I went with Charles Omenihu, and you went with George Karlaftis. The play of George Karlaftis, is it trying to think of the way to best ask this question, because he doesn't look like a Nick Bosa or a Micah Parsons or a Myles Garrett, right, when he's rushing the passer, a Chris Jones, where there's just sort of a dominant feel to it when he's there. Yet, through 8 games this year, he's got the 7th most pressures, and he's got 6 sacks. And if you look at the final 7 games of last year and the 8 games this year, would be a 17-game pace of 13.5 sacks and 66 pressures. There were 10 players all of last year that did that had 13 sacks and 66 pressures. Those names are Nick Bosa, Hassan Reddick, Myles Garrett, Matthew Judon, Alex Highsmith, Max Crosby, Chris Jones, Micah Parsons, Brian Burns. George Karlaftis.
Are those good?
Yes.
Are those good football players?
Right. And and this year he's pacing at Pro Football Focus for 83 pressures, which last year there were only 2 players that had more than 83 pressures on the season, and that was Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons. But I don't look at Karlaftis anywhere near that, and certainly having Chris Jones out there helps, right? Some of those other things, but what is George Karlaftis? Is he this guy that we've seen over the last 15 games? Not including the playoffs, but 15 games of the regular season? Or is this playing at a high level with people around him, et cetera, and if he gets more attention, then that will start to slow down?
I mean, I do think that there's some of that, because George Karlaftis does see doubles. I'm not trying to say that he doesn't see doubles, but fine, Chris Jones on field, that's where that's where those things are coming. Over the past 2 weeks, Charles Omenihu's gotten a lot of focus, too, because guess what? He's also been ridiculously efficient over the past 2 weeks, rushing the passer, getting after it. This is also a team that fields George Karlaftis and Mike Dana in lots of different alignments. Not that they don't with Charles Omenihu and Chris Jones. We just talk about them all the time and how they move around. George Karlaftis and Mike Dana get these matchups as well, and they're running a lot of deep. They're basically being the tip of the spear on a tech stunt, or a looping rusher coming around when all the deep or the offensive line gives so much focus to Chris Jones. I'm not saying any of those things to minimize George Karlaftis' George Karlaftis' effectiveness. It is just the implementation and usage from Steve Spagnuolo and Joe Cohen has been perfect. Like, it has been perfect. And it's a testament to George Karlaftis' work ethic, his ability to get after the passer. Him working with Tamba Hali has changed the way that he has rushed the passer. He is a guy that he will win on his first move. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but he wins more regularly on his second move than potentially anybody else not named Chris Jones on this defensive line.
Yeah.
And that is huge when you have a secondary that covers as well as they do. Quarterback drops back to pass. We talked about Patrick Mahomes holding the ball in the pocket. Quarterback drops back to pass. It's either throwing in tight coverage with L'Jarius Sneed or Trent McDuffie all over your receiver, or you need to pivot and try and find somebody else. Now you're over 2.5 seconds in the pocket. George Karlaftis is going to win in that amount of time. He's going to get free from whoever it is that's blocking it, whether it be an interior offensive lineman, offensive tackle. His handwork has gotten so good that even if he gets stonewalled on that initial attempt, he is winning more regularly with his second pass rush move, that secondary move. And that's what's paying dividends. That's why he leads the team in sacks right now with 6, because he is just transitioning into that. And when quarterbacks have to get deeper into the rest, guess what? You got George Karlaftis coming after you. That's where his pressure's coming from. That's where his sacks come from. He's getting them quicker than that. I'm not trying to say that that's the only way it's happening, but that's why you are seeing it be so effective this year and toward the end of last year. It's just clicking. The way that he's able to use his body, use his hands, get to that second pass rush move is the biggest deal for this defensive line right now. And that's why I picked him as kind of the guy there. There's so many guys that they can use, but he's just the one that consistently wins on that second move often enough to really terrorize quarterback.
Yeah, and again, not to minimize Karlaftis, those names that he's I mentioned that he's with, those names are the focal point of the opposing offense to stop. And Karlaftis is not that guy. Chris Jones is the focal point. Those guys are doing that while they are schemed against. Karlaftis is playing with Chris Jones and a really good secondary. That's giving him an opportunity to get to those second moves. Craig Stout is our guest. All right, prediction time. What do you think happens in Germany? And a score, if you have one in mind, for Chiefs and Dolphins.
All right, Chiefs fans, cover your ears. Earmuffs here. I'm actually going to pick a Chiefs loss in this one. Again, I think Andy Reid is not going to put anything out there that would give the Dolphins any sort of leg up once this team gets to January. They're going to January. I realize that the 1 seed is potentially in jeopardy here, but this team does what it does, and it doesn't really give a damn about what the 1 seed looks like in week 8. Andy Reid consistently holds things close to the vest so that he can unleash stuff later. I fully expect that to be the case this week. And while I expect the Chiefs defense to do their job and limit what the Dolphins do, there's only so much limiting that can happen there. So I don't expect an offensive explosion. So cut to this will be an offensive explosion Sunday morning. But I don't expect an offensive explosion. I think that the Chiefs offense is still going to be able to move the ball. They're going to put 14 on the board. But I think that the Dolphins will put 24 on the board, and it'll be kind of a grinded-out performance that the Dolphins have to do there. The defense is going to do enough, and we're still going to be talking about what does this offense need to do. So I got the Chiefs losing this one 24-14, but come get me in January, February, when Andy Reid unleashes everything, and they just blow them out in that game.
All right, we'll see what happens. Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Craig, as always, appreciate the time, sir. We'll be watching on Sunday, hoping you are wrong, but certainly that would not be that much of a surprise if we see that result because of some of the struggles we've been talking about. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it as always, brother.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There's Craig Stout, KC Sports Network, KCSN.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll hear from Chiefs coaches coming up later on this hour. We got sports or leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. Big shout out to Google Fiber. Watched a little World Series last night. Didn't need to do much watching the World Series on Tuesday night. It
was closer last night.
It was an awesome game, and it was for anybody that was rooting for a longer series, it was an unfortunate result.
Yeah.
And anybody that was rooting for the Snakes, unfortunate result.
Snakes no longer alive.
That is true. The Rangers winning last night, but big shout out to Google Fiber as 1 gig internet, the same price since 2012, which I don't know anywhere else that you see the same price of awesome service and a provider like that, and 11 years later. Usually it's double the price at that point, and they are now available up to 5 gigs with Google Fiber Internet. Proud to be from KC, an award-winning internet without data caps, annual contracts, or hidden fees.
You know what? I'm mad at Google Fiber. I'm going to take it the other direction.
Should.
Their connection was too good. I desperately wanted my Wi-Fi to go out last night. I desperately wanted my internet to go away. I didn't want to see the end of that game.
You know
I wish
what?
I didn't have to see any of that.
The Diamondbacks offense needed a better connection.
They really, if I could have paid for, 5 gigs for that.
I mean, what more do you need Zach Gallen to do for you? Go and bat?
An entire no-hitter, and even then, who's to say?
I mean, the no-hitter was broken up by a nubber at the end of the bat by the MVP, who then his next at bat did almost the same thing and went the other way. That didn't even leave the infield, right? That was one to where Emmanuel Rivera, former Royal, goes over and scoops it up and just looks over to first because Seager's right there. But when you hit the ball as hard as Corey Seager, there's a reason why you've got some great numbers is because you hit the ball hard like that. And then also sometimes when you hit the ball soft and just simply put it in play, it finds an opening. But they were not finding openings against Zach Gallen. He was awesome in the game, and he was locked in. And somehow the no-hitter for that long still ends up being a 5-0 loss in that game.
A no-hitter and, in a perfectly baseball, outrageously frustrating series of runner on second, and what can the Diamondbacks do? The answer is nothing. They'll be doing nothing with this runner in scoring position.
Zach Gallen walked in and out in a rescue mission and had no issues and got the job done. The Rangers were battling the entire time, and they were in trouble, and they were surrounded, and they were getting out of trouble constantly just to simply survive, and they end up with the 5-0 lead. Like the whole game was, felt like we talked about that soccer doesn't really have some of those small victories that are there that we see in like football or basketball at times. It's like this team is dominating and they're up 9-0 in football. They are dominating. They're up 6-0 and one play can end it. That one felt like a soccer match when a team was just dominating and felt like they've had the possession and they're just peppering the keeper with shots and shots and shots. And the next thing you know, a counter puts one in the back of the net and you lose 1-0. You're like, what the hell happened? Yep. That's kind of what last night felt, that there was one team that was on the offensive, not literally because they weren't scoring runs, but Zach Gallen was dominating and the Diamondbacks were getting guys in position constantly, and it just needed a hit to sort of feel like you could break it open. And it never happened. And that was a frustrating game to watch if you had the Diamondbacks last night.
Nathan Eovaldi got through 6 innings, 4 hits, 5 walks, no runs allowed. Zach Gallen, a no-hitter, through 6, ended up giving up 3 hits and 1 walk, and got the loss. So that's your winning and losing pitcher there. Eovaldi with the win, and Gallen, it's not quite enough.
Yep, absolutely. That's unfortunate. For Diamondbacks fans.
Yeah, it's fine.
Not unfortunate for Rangers fans.
Look, a poverty franchise like the Texas Rangers, who had never won a World Series, unlike my storied Arizona Diamondbacks, I get it. Nice for a little startup, little franchise like the Rangers to finally win the big one.
They got it. Count it.
Good for Dayton Moore.
Take that, Houston. And Astros and your Texas love. The Rangers, they are the new sheriff in town.
That's better, too, I guess, if I had to pick a Texas team.
And they just did it by duct tape and chicken wire and just pulling themselves up by their bootstraps and just a lot of a whole bunch of just developing and drafting and finding small little trades here and there that all help them, get that whole thing worked out. Just a whole lot of that, and didn't really spend any money on any free agents or anything. Corey Seager, homegrown guy, making like $5.
Yep.
Simeon, homegrown guy, making like $5.
The Royals have Cole Reagan, so in some small way, I feel like the Royals won the World Series.
That's exactly right. We'll take a timeout. Dayton Moore, Chris Young, and Cole Reagan's Royals. Why not? They should celebrate with this. Get a ring or a half ring. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up next. All right, we'll head out to Arrowhead when the coordinators get to the podium. Spags, Nags, and Tobes.
And Dave.
And Davs, and Tabs, and Tobes. Steve Spagnuolo, Dave Tobe, Matt Nagy will be at the podium today, and the Chiefs will be heading off to Germany a little bit later on today in, as Andy Reid said, more comfortable seats than probably a lot of people take on their international flights.
It is interesting. I saw I think it might have been Mick tweeting about Dolphins players today at their pressers. They were talking about getting acclimated and being kind of groggy and everything still. I am intrigued to see if there's any evidence of that affecting the game for either side.
It's a non-quantifying impact on the game that we just don't know until the game is over. And then maybe down the road you can hear some players talk like, we just sort of jet lag still. I mean, I know Travis Kelce says that he doesn't get jet lagged, which is fine. He flies more than I do. Mm-hmm. So I get jet lagged, but I also don't fly nearly as often as NFL players do. So, I mean, I know the time change is more massive than heading to L.A.
Sure.
for a Chargers game, but they are still heading 2 hours west on a Saturday and then playing a game that would be 3 o'clock. Well, it's a 1 o'clock game. Okay, that's a little different than, you're talking about 6 and 7 hour difference. I totally understand that. But even when I'm, in Tahoe or L.A. or Florida, sometimes it's a little like, well, what's the time? Mine isn't there. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's not a big deal and they go and take care of business and they win that game and everything is kumbaya as they head into the bye week.
How about Craig? Fins by 10. Fins by 10, Craig said.
Fins by 10s. We'll see.
I'm really I haven't settled on a pick yet.
I mean, honestly, if the Broncos can beat the Chiefs by 15, the Dolphins can beat the Chiefs by 10.
I would tend to agree.
Yes, and honestly, if that was the case on Monday, we would have a lot to talk about. There would be a lot of frustrated people discussing that, depending on how it all came about. But I wouldn't be, sitting there with my jaw on the floor like if you said, hey, on Monday you're going to be talking about the Broncos winning 24-9.
Yeah.
Okay, guy. Sure. Did the Chiefs go on strike and they had to send some scabs in? Is that what happened? I'm not sure that's going to be a result there, guy.
Kinda. That's
Here's Dave Tope.
Clyde's the only player who's not practicing today. He's ill. Everybody else is going to work. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
That was actually Ted Cruz. So Clyde, the only one not working today, he is ill. He's battled some illness this year, has Clyde.
And that means Willie Gay and Jerick McKinnon will practice today, at least in some capacity, which is huge.
That's a big, big development there. Here's Dave Tope.
Hello, Coach.
Fire away.
How you feeling about the trip?
Excited. Yeah, the guys worked hard all week, and everybody's excited. We got a lot of good work in. I mean, staying here, sleeping in our own bed, getting a good Wednesday and a good Thursday in before we leave. We've got to get sleep on the plane. That's obviously the key to this thing, to make it work. And everybody's excited.
Anything you're looking forward to doing in Germany?
No, just going to play the football. I mean, we're looking at it as a business trip. We're going in focused on the game, and that's our goal. That's what we talked about early in the week, and that's where we're at.
Coach, you had Tyreek Hill, and you know what he was like on special teams. And now, when you look at him at Miami, whatever they want to do, surprise to do, what are you prepared for, especially knowing a player like that?
I'm prepared to see him as a punt returner. I mean, believe it or not. I mean, I know he's banging the table to do it. I mean, he would love to get a few punt returns against it, maybe one, try to get one. But, we talked about that. He's dangerous. He's the most dangerous guy there is. So, I mean, we know what he brings to the table. That's probably the only thing that he would probably want to do. And I doubt if they let him do it. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't see him. I'm letting him go back there to do it. So.
Have you chatted with him?
No, I haven't. It'd be good to see him, give him a hug, and because we were pretty close.
Can you talk? McCall obviously had the drop in the game last week, and kind of the part of the field he was, and we've talked to you many times.
I've talked about this a lot of times, and the punters today, they can put the ball in a 1. They hit it at the 5, and they can put it in the 1. So in his case, if you looked at the tape and saw that situation, he did the right thing, trying to field the football. It was wide open. There was nobody there. He's just got to do the routine things routinely, which is catch the football. Keep his elbows tight and take care of fundamentals, and we would have been fine. We get the ball possessed, and he probably could have had 10, 15 yards in the play. I mean, that's what you want to do there.
Those things change at game time.
It changes. It would change, like late in the game, like say the situation where we tell them before they got on the field that, hey, we're going to let this one bounce no matter what. We're getting the ball back. We're going to win the game. But in that situation there, I mean, he was wide open. He made the right decision. He just got to catch the ball.
Is that in every we're just talking theoretically here.
It's not a cut and dry thing. It's not a 10 yards. That's an old rule. That's an old thing.
So, but what I'm saying is, on each return, do you go to the returner and say, "This"?
Yes.
Is
Oh yeah.
And on that one, is that just listen? You needed a spark. It was a bad day at the office all around. So was that part of the?
Yeah, we had a spark with the field goal block. I mean, that's what we do on special teams. We provide sparks. In that situation there, if he just catches the ball and gets 10. We're not playing football in the 1, because if he lets it bounce, it's going to stop and, it could possibly go in the end zone. But really, I mean, kick punters put the ball on the 1 now. That's what they do. So field it.
How about Justin's play? He got a great get off on that.
Yes, yeah, that was a great play, and a lot of credit to him because he studies. He's a smart football player. No matter where you put him, he's gonna work at it. And he's gonna look at tape, and he studied those guys. He had the get off down, and he told me, he goes, "You call New York, which is a right." He goes, "You call that." He goes, "We're gonna make a play," and he called the shot, and he did it in a perfect time. We needed that right then. Coming out of the halftime drive, they drove down the field, used up a lot of time, and we prevented them from scoring. They got the ball back. It was a huge play at that moment.
He actually said he didn't rush on the first one to study it. How common is that?
Well, he just wanted to see if it was a little different. Yeah, I mean, and obviously it wasn't. Right. So he used it. And then later in the game, he did it again because it was a situation where it didn't matter. If you remember, it was right. At 5 yards doesn't matter. So he tried it again one more time, which is another smart move. And obviously they got him with the double set. So
you guys study a lot of stuff. You know all your places. You're going here. You're going to a brand new stadium. What do you know about the turf, the surface, the winds, all that stuff?
We know it's a hybrid surface, 90% grass, 10% synthetic. So we know that it's a lot like Green Bay. That's the word we got. And we played at Green Bay, so we know what kind of field it is. They have a top on it that they're going to take off. It's covered. It's going to be off. That's what we know right now. And we saw pictures of it. Besides that.
What's the return of Darius Harris mean for you guys?
Oh, good. It's good for us because, I mean, I talked about this last time, with losing Bolton and now, Willie Gay, we needed a guy. We definitely needed to get a linebacker in the building. And, he's a guy that knows us. He's smart. He knows what we do. And I trust him on special teams, to be a player for us so we can plug him right in.
Last two. Go ahead, PJ.
Aside from Tyreek, what else are you seeing from the Dolphins?
Braxton Berrios, the returner is excellent. He never makes a mistake. I mean, he catches the ball coming forward, he catches it in the right spots, and he gets upfield. I mean, if you're not, technically good hang time and technically sound with your net, he's gonna hurt you as a punt returner. So he's dangerous, and they also have a lot of speed overall. The whole team has a speed everywhere, and they don't have a lot of rookies. They only have 3 rookies on their whole team, and only one of them plays on special teams. So, I mean, they're experienced, fast, good football team.
Last one, sir.
Coach, and I know this is part of the job and you do it every year, but are we getting to that point where it's starting to get a little sticky personnel-wise for you? The guys can
Yeah,
talk about trying to
I mean,
today, but
it's part of the job. You kind of figure guys out, but injuries affect you all the time. I mean, one small little injury, it's a trickle down thing. It comes to me, it comes to us on special teams, and we have to try to develop younger players, to be able to step in at a moment's notice. So, yeah, to answer your question.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Take care.
All right, there's Dave Tobe. A lot of stuff to get into from that as far as the punt returns go. Should point out that Tyreek Hill has returned, I think, 4 punts in the last 4 years and has returned 1 punt for the Miami Dolphins in his time since he's been there. In fact, actually, 1 punt. No, he's returned 2 punts in his time. That was last year. He had a couple punt returns for a total of -4 yards. He's not the punt returner. He's not a kick returner there. He's a wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins. Maybe he will lobby to return a punt against the Chiefs. Here's Spags.
I was trying. Sid wouldn't let me do it. No, that's not true. I don't want anybody to think that. Beautiful day out. Looking forward to getting outside because we're going to be on a plane and in some hotels for a while. So it'd be nice to get out. So with that, I'll just open it up.
How do you stop Tyreek Hill?
Oh, man. I don't know. Get him on your team. Can we get him back? I think that'd be the best way to stop him. Listen, we know he's elite, and he's going to certainly be all fired up for this game. But, I have guys. I was looking at it yesterday, or the day before. I was trying to think of who in our secondary has gone against Tyreek. It's only LJ, I believe, because all the young guys have not really felt. And the one thing about Tyreek, and some of the other young guys were asking, if you guys remember, he practiced as hard as he played. So when our guys would go against him in practice, you were like getting a game day Tyreek Hill, not like, some guys that go about 80%. So maybe, hopefully, there's some carryover there and LJ's used to it. But he's the only guy that's really gone against him. So we know what we're dealing with. We know what the speed. We're cautious of it. Everybody's got to know where he is because it feels like they're trying to get him the ball a lot.
Any old Frankfurt Galaxy gear that you
the gear. I had You know, the old windbreaker button down. I used to have one of those that was purple because we were purple, and I don't know, I think there was a little gold. Yeah, something sprinkled. They're great uniforms. That was a tremendous experience. I loved it. We ended up going to the World Bowl, which was in Frankfurt that year. The Berlin Fire beat us. You always remember when you get beat, right? But it was a great atmosphere. The people there, the game was exciting. They cheer constantly. Like, you can't tell if you did good or bad because they're always cheering, which is great. They're really into it. It was a great experience. I wish I could find that jacket.
Yeah, we saw. I think Travis has a jersey in his locker right now.
A Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, Travis can come up with things. I can't. I don't have the.
Is it the same stadium, you guys?
It's funny you're asking that, and I know the name, but I cannot. I'll know when I get there. Because seriously, I was looking at pictures of it, and now because they might have changed it. It's 25 years ago. So I won't know unless if it's the same site and maybe they just refurbished it. It looks a little different. I can't tell right now whether it's the same. And I don't remember the name of it. I have to go back and look it up. I haven't had time to do that this week.
When it comes to the game with the linebackers and the depth right now, how concerning is
Yeah.
it, especially with the speed of what the Dolphins?
Yeah, it's a great point. Listen, Nick and Willie are speed linebackers. I mean, they cover as much ground as anybody in this league, and we're not sure Willie's at right now, and Nick we know is not going to play. We're just going to have to rely on the guys we put in there. Now, Drew certainly has been a run around real fast, and you guys can see that. Jack will step in there if he has to. Leo will step in there, and he made some plays for us last week. So I feel confident in the guys that we'll put out there. We certainly would like to have Nick and Willie, but we'll see what happens with that. And just if we don't have them, we'll use the guys we got and rally around that.
How quick can Darius work into that?
Yeah, well, the one good thing about Darius is he was here. And the other thing we remembered when we first brought Darius here, and if you guys remember, he kind of had like a redshirt year because he had that injury, so he didn't do anything the whole first year. But what we knew right from the beginning, Matt House was here at the time, and we interviewed Darius. Was a very cerebral linebacker, like he's really smart. So I think he'll pick up things quickly. And if we got stuck in a situation he had to go, I mean, at least we know he's had parts of the system before, which is good.
Sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry. You mentioned L'Jarius Sneed. He had that run of a number of penalties.
Yeah.
I asked this of Drew. He was pretty guarded, to be frank, about the answer on it. But I know you guys scout the refs and like, hey, this is a crew that calls a lot of this. They're really watching for this. I'm just curious, how much does your scout of the officials end up being what they are? Like, how accurate does it end up being game to game, or is that?
That's a legitimate question. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Like, I don't. Well, one thing I don't do is I don't look at. Well, I mean, I look at it before our game, but then I usually don't go back and say, oh, they stuck to it. They didn't stick to it. It's interesting. We get that all the time, and there are times when I will talk to the guys, bless you, about the officiating crew. However, like for example, if all of a sudden the officiating crew says they don't call a lot of holding penalties or DPIs, it would be hard for me to stand up there and say, look, this crew doesn't call them. So we're very careful. We really just try to play the game clean, to be honest with you. I talk with them a lot about, like you get in a 3rd and 18, a 3rd and 20. Let's be smart, right? Why take a 5-yard holding penalty that's an automatic first down? So I talk more in terms of being smart with the things you can and can't get away with.
One of the things a lot of people have said in the preview of this game is that the way to do something to the Dolphins is to get them off rhythm. It's so much of a timing thing, and you look like you might have a group up front that can help do that. How big a key is that going to be for your front four, especially, to get back there and kind of get them off there?
Yeah, huge. It's a rhythm passing game, and he's really good at it. What I think is really challenging, I was just talking to Mitch about it as I was coming in here. It's one thing to be a drop back team and be rhythm, because as soon as the lineman pass set, you're in a pass rush mode as a D lineman, and then you go from there. This team has a lot of play action rhythm passes. So everybody up front has to at least respect the fact that it could be a run. And then boom, all of a sudden it's a pass play and he's getting the ball out really quick. That's what he's really good at. I think that's probably one of the main reasons for the success and the high percentage completion rate. What would work best for us is if we can try to, listen, we're talking about the pass. They run the ball as good as anybody. And so we got to begin there. And if there was a way, somehow, some way we could get the game one-dimensional, then we have a chance to do what you were talking about. Up until that point, it's going to be a little bit difficult. We got to play it honest, stop the run first, hopefully get them in longer. down the distances so we know what they're going to do, and then try to disrupt the.
Coach, did you ever think 15 years ago you and Antonio Pierce would be fellow top coaches in the AFC?
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what. I don't. I've probably said this before, but Antonio is one of my favorite football players. One of the most cerebral, smartest players I coach. We don't beat the Patriots if Antonio's not running the show on defense, and I'm happy. I listen. I'm pulling for him in all but 2 games. But I would love. I thought. To be honest with you, he coached. I knew he wanted to coach. We talked about it. He said, I said, well, go out and make sure you want to do it. He spent 5 years in high school in California as a head coach and did a great job. And then I brought him to New York, and he was a quality control. He got his feet wet, and then he went to Arizona State, and now he's there. I knew the minute he came in the NFL that it wouldn't be long. I just felt like he was that kind of guy. So I'm really happy for him.
What do you know about the Dolphins? McDaniel's an interesting guy. Do you know him well?
I really don't. I got a lot of respect for him. I've talked with people that know him, and listen, he's doing a great job there.
Is he doing anything different than other people? I mean, people are always trying to innovate. Is anything revolutionary about this offense, or is it basically just the fact that they have a whole bunch of really bad?
Well, there's a lot that has to do with that, but I mean, they're intricate in the emotions, but I think our guys do, a lot of the same things. And, this league's a beg, borrow, and steal, so we steal things defensively, offenses steal things, so you're seeing it all over the league now. But they give them all the credit in the world, coaches and players. They put something together really dynamic that's quite a challenge. And, when you can stand in front of our unit like I did this week and said, look, we're going against the number 1 offensive unit in the NFL. It's a great challenge. Let's go out and see what we can do.
You mentioned emotions, and I know like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay have called it cheat motion, getting the guys at full speed at the snap, so then they're running at a different speed. How difficult does that make it then?
Well, listen, the motioning part of it, getting the fact, they're not supposed to turn up before the ball snap. We know that, right? So hopefully they're going that way. They use it really, really effectively. I think I don't know this, but my guess is once they got there and saw what Tyreek could do, they probably said, "Oh, we could do." Again, you invent some things when you have that kind of skill set. I don't know how it all evolved, but they make it challenging.
Do they get to the edge? I mean, they do some stuff with their motion to get blockers moving to help little guys block big guys.
Yeah.
Is that
it feels
innovative, or is that?
Not so much. I mean, little guys blocking big guys you don't see it too often. I showed a clip this morning. This is the thing about Tyreek. Like, he's not one of those wideouts that you can get not to block. Like, he's gonna battle you. You can't. There's no quitting him. So even though he's a speed wide receiver, if he's lined up over there, there's a chance he might block you. You better be ready for it.
Let's go last to PJ and then Nick.
I mean, they obviously have Tyreek, but Waddle and Wilson are also some great offensive pieces too.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about one guy, but they got speed all over the place. We got to pick our spots. We certainly don't want the most dynamic guy to wreck the game. But if you pay too much, you pay too much attention to one guy, they've got plenty of other people that can beat you, and that's what makes them. We keep saying it, but that's what makes them dynamic. The skill set that they all have.
Steve, with the motioning that they have, how much of it do you have to respect versus not let them misdirect you from where they're actually wanting to go sometimes?
Yeah, a little bit of it will depend on what we're in. There are some things that we're in where it won't affect us that much, and then there are other calls that we have where we got to be on. We almost have to anticipate that somebody's going to move, or else you're going to be behind in the down. You're going to be behind the step. So we've preached that a lot.
Thank you.
You good? All right, thank you.
All right, there's Steve Spagnuolo. He has a lot on his plate this weekend against this Dolphins offense with the most dynamic playmaker in the league in Tyreek Hill. And the first time the Chiefs will be going up against him. And as he said, he was thinking of guys that have gone up against Tyreek Hill in practice, what we talked about yesterday, the day before that Spags was listening to the show, when he said, it's just L'Jarius Sneed, the only one on this team that has gone up against Tyreek Hill as a cornerback in practice. Said, and it's a good point. He said Tyreek practices as hard as he played. So, there was game situations that Sneed was going up against. So he said maybe that'll carry over with Sneed against Tyreek. That's a good point because Tyreek was one of the best practice players for the Chiefs and still is one of the best practice players because he just went nonstop constantly. It's different energy level, man.
You have a quarterback who's constantly trying new things in practice and a tight end who blamed himself for not focusing enough when his knee hyperextended in practice earlier this year. Easy to see where that energy kind of comes from in that group.
Absolutely. We'll hear from Matt Nagy, but also talking about the timing, which is something that we have discussed, that the players have discussed. But a really good point when he's like, the timing, there's a lot of play action rhythm passes. It's not just the timing that they take the snap and then, get the ball out. It's a timing offense when they run play action, so you have to respect the run, and you've got to play honest to try to stop the run and then do that and get them into 3rd and longs when you can adjust the timing a little bit, when you can really get after them. But it was a great point about, hey, get in there and disrupt the rhythm. What about on play actions?
Right.
Are you disrupting the rhythm on play actions? You do that by being able to stop the run, and in play, you don't have to be running effectively as an offense to have play action work. You just have to be a good enough running offense in general to know that the defense has to respect that.
And specifically, Minahu yesterday talking about specifically first down, to your point of if you can get them behind the sticks a little bit, if you can make them have a drop back and stand there type of offense. I went back through the pressers yesterday, and I'm really editorializing. I don't know that Charles Minahu thinks that Tua Tagovailoa is an exceptional quarterback. I think he does think, like a lot of people do, in the structure and rhythm of this offense, that Miami Dolphins offensive unit as a whole can absolutely smoke you, obviously. But again, going back through this one quote from Minahu, their offense is big on rhythm. So when you get negative plays on first down, it kind of throws them off rhythm, in my opinion. When the offense is how they are, they're very big rhythm-based, to get it out on time kind of deal. When you throw it off, then that gives a chance for the defense to dictate how things are going to go. Talked about Travis Kelce earlier, talking about the offense dictating how things are going to go for the Chiefs. Here you have a Minahu dictating how the Chiefs want to handle all of it.
You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City, and hopefully they do that. Hopefully they're able to do that. But, we've seen Philadelphia, we've seen Buffalo be able to get after this Dolphins offense and limit them at times. But the Dolphins are getting healthier.
Yep.
Whether or not they get 2 offensive linemen back this week, we'll find out. Here's Matt Nagy.
How are you? All right, go ahead.
Coach, when you're trying to get your offense firing on all cylinders, is there a consideration that you've got a great running back of just doing more running to get that going?
There's probably a balance with it. We want to be able to be complementary football within the offense, so throwing the football, running the football. As we all know, when you can run it, depending on the type of runs you can get in that game based off a scheme, it's always a lot easier, whether you're calling plays or whether you're running the plays as players, to make those plays work. So we understand that. It is important. You do need to do that. You can't be one-dimensional. But every game is a little bit different based off the score, based off of what's working. And, I think Coach does a really good job with all that.
With the offense stalling a little bit here, the mistakes have kind of come out in one way or another. Just how fixable do you feel right now? Is the offense midway through the year?
It's very fixable. There's not panic, but there's it's there for us to understand that a few things. When you look back 2 weeks ago, we put a pretty good game together. The players played well. They executed. We played complementary football with the defense and special teams. Then this past weekend against Denver, in any football game, you can't turn the football over. And we did that. We did it 3 times in the first half. We were, not very good in the red zone. When we got down there and didn't turn the ball over, then we didn't score, whether it's a turnover or a field goal or, not getting a touchdown. We're, I think, one for 8 in 2 games against that defense. And so you got to give them credit. But at the same point in time, we know we can be better. So going back to the drawing board, seeing where we went wrong, not placing blame, but also accepting that we got to be better. And we know we can. And you get a great opportunity here for us to show what we can do in all 3 phases this weekend.
Coach, if you've known, you can't, right? If you know Patrick Mahomes going to have the flu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you tweak the game plans, right? As part of what got you is that, I don't know, was he 90%? Was he 20%? Who knows? But would you have done it differently if you'd have known going in?
No, not at all, really. I mean, we wouldn't. It would have to be like really, really sick, something to where you have no energy at all. And Patrick wouldn't want that either. He's an ultimate competitor. Not one time did that ever come out of his mouth of anything about being sick with him as far as using it that, we weren't as successful on offense. So that's not who he is. There's always checks and balances with how sick somebody is and what kind of sickness, but that didn't come into the equation this time.
Defense is succeeding more this year, right? Across the league,
Mm-hmm.
right? different analytics, have different ways of measuring it and everything. Everybody seems to be going to shells and taking away the big stuff. We don't see fullbacks anymore. We don't see no Christian Okoye's running around in the backfield.
Right.
Is that the magic elixir to fight back?
I think there's something to what you're saying. I feel like this league is a little cyclical in the fact that it's sometimes the offenses you'll see some high scoring years where defenses are chasing them, and I think this is probably a year where offenses in general are doing some things differently throughout the NFL, but defenses are too. And just like you said, to the fullback position, way back when, and to some teams even still now, that fullback position is a big position, and they use them. It's just not very much anymore. And a lot of that, I think, comes from the high school and the college game and transitioning into the NFL. With that, defensive coordinators, they're pretty good too, so they make adjustments every year. So I think it's kind of like almost like a back and forth game between offensive coaches, defensive coaches, and right now, to your point, they're finding ways to try to make you score less points, and there's a little bit, I think, less explosive. So now offenses need to adjust accordingly.
One of the things we've talked about a lot, Travis has talked about it, and Patrick, trust. They know where everyone's going to be and each other's going to be. Are you seeing trust at this point with the wide receiver group that you guys have with Patrick right now?
There is trust, and I think for every receiver, it's a little different based off of the routes they run, and it's growing. We know that, they know that, Patrick understands that, and it's just working towards getting the most trust possible with those guys. And again, when you have 6 or 7 receivers and you're using them all in different ways, it probably slows down that a little bit in regards to just getting reps of specific routes with that guy and how that timing works. And then you throw a defense into it. You might throw some injuries. You might throw different factors that come into it. So every one of those guys, Patrick has trust in, and they have trust in Patrick. It's just different levels, and then we as a staff have to figure out where those levels are and how we put it into the game plan.
Coach, when you experience a game like the Broncos where you're calling things and you're seeing things open, but it's not executing, just what are the wheels turning in your head like? Are we just looking at different plays, or is it? How is it in game?
The only thing I'd say to that is I don't know if we necessarily felt that way as much as there was just some turnovers. There was some, yards wise, maybe it wasn't too crazy with yards, but we felt like we were at times moving the ball, and then all of a sudden, boom, a 4-play drive and a turnover, and you can't get into a rhythm. And even when you get into the question with running the football, drives are about getting into rhythms, and whether you do repeated runs or whatever it is, you have some lengthy drives. We really didn't have many of those. I think we only had 3 true possessions in the second half. And then you combine that with the first half of having 3 turnovers. When you look at it, it's, hey, let's eliminate turnovers. Let's start there. Then let's get into the red zone and score touchdowns. And if we do that, the other stuff you guys are doing a great job with. They're executing. So it's I guess I'm saying is we didn't necessarily feel like, hey, these plays aren't working. It's just a matter of, locking some things in a little bit tighter, and for coaches and players.
What's Patrick been like this week? I remember you talked maybe a month or so ago about he wants to get coached hard, and if he makes a mistake, listen, he had a hand in some of the turnovers. They weren't all him.
Sure.
What's he been like this week? We didn't get a chance to talk to him because he's going to talk tomorrow in Germany. Have you seen more focused, different, anything like that?
I wouldn't say the word's not more focused for us, but to everybody, it's human nature. You win 5 or 6 or 7 games, whatever it is for any team. You start getting in a winning streak, and you got to always make sure one of the toughest things is the complacency, and that's not with him and that's not with us. But I'm using it for Patrick. What I see is somebody that loves to win and hates to lose, and when that happens and you lose, the first thing he does is he starts with himself, and his teammates see that, his coaches see it, and it's infectious. That there's no pointing fingers. It's that we all need to coach better, play better, and if we do that, we have a pretty good chance of winning. So I think there's more that it's an ability for him to say, hey, you know what, I get another chance. And I think when we lost on Sunday, Monday morning couldn't get here soon enough because he was ready to go. And you have to accept what happened, and that's real, and you give credit because Denver played a great game, and they made that happen to us. And so respect there. But now, what do we do moving forward? And that's the beauty of Patrick and Coach Reed is there's no looking back. It's finding solutions, fixing it, and moving on. And I've seen probably a little bit of a tick of urgency in that.
Coach, Andy, I've had some ex-players that played here say that one of the real strengths of Andy and the staff is that you guys don't give up on players. Like you're always working to make them better, and you're much more patient than maybe other teams that they have played for. But sometimes it doesn't work, right? Like, is it fair to say you guys are going to make a mistake, more likely to make a mistake trying too hard with a guy who can't get it done than giving up early? And do you have to guard yourself against just?
It's a good question. There's a balance there between both of those. But Coach Reed has been through a million of these in all the years he's coached, and that's why he's a Hall of Fame coach at what he does. It's not just the plays he calls, but it is ultimately, in the end, this is a relationship business, and he is phenomenal with building relationships through the good and the bad. And so when a player has a game where it might feel like he could have been better or whatever, he always is there to support them, but also there's truth with them as well. Like, hey, this is what happened, but this is what we got to do to get better. As a former player myself, when you have that from a coach that's real with you, you understand there's truth to it. He wants the best for you to a high. You understand there's truth to it. He wants the best for you. He's still going to hold you to a high accountability, but you now as a player, you also feel free in the fact that he's not making you play tight to where you're afraid to make a mistake. And I think that's probably a little bit of why he's different is there's truth and there's love with him, but you go out and you play and you're not worried that if you do drop a ball again or if you make a poor decision, you're not going to get benched, you're not going to get cut. There's some big-time validity to that, and that's a huge strength of coaches. So there's a balance.
Is it a weakness too sometimes?
I don't think so. I don't, because he's been pretty good with his. I'll throw some streaks at you now with him as a head coach that he's done that you start hearing, and he's pretty successful. So I wouldn't change, I guess what I'm saying, what he's doing. Keep it going, Coach. We're following you, and the players know that too.
Coach, I know you're looking at the Dolphins defense, but is there? You're going to see Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Is there just something about that? With what he can do and everything. I mean, you were here when he was here?
Yeah, I was.
Do you know the secrets of stopping him?
You got some for me?
No. That you can get this bag?
Yeah. I'll stay out of that one. I think, we know what Tyreek's breaking records right now across the board. He's always been that way. I mean, he's a phenomenal tracker when the football is in the air. I can remember his rookie year, he never dropped a pass in training camp, which was, it was phenomenal. So it's to his credit, he keeps working the craft of running routes, et cetera. He's a great player, and everybody knows it. Every defensive coordinator knows it, and he's just different with his speed. So Coach Spags will put together a good game plan. They're going to have great plays as well, and it's going to be a fun battle. But a lot of respect for Tyreek. I love coaching him, and he definitely made it nice to have some of those long plays to catch and run and score touchdowns and do backflips and all that other stuff he does. But he has a great personality too.
Was there anything I was going to ask you about Tyreek besides just not dropping the ball in his first training game? Was there a moment where you thought, wow, this guy may be something more than a fifth-round draft pick?
Yeah, and it wasn't. It was at the Pro Bowl. So we went to the Pro Bowl, and he's there his first year in the Pro Bowl, and he's on the sidelines in practice. And all these Pro Bowlers are there, and they're watching him in awe of how fast he is and just his size and how fast. And that's the first time it hit me. Like, we see it every day. You get to understand what type of player he is, but then you put that into the elite of the best of the best of the best, and they're like in all of them. So that's when it kind of clicks with you, and then you see the plays he makes. But he's been a unbelievable career, and I can remember the first day he was in here in the building on a visit, and just his excitement of being in the building and seeing Coach Reed and being a part of that process was pretty neat to where he's at now. So a lot of respect.
Last one.
Yep. Matt, as a play caller, what are kind of the biggest challenges inside of the game?
Inside of
the specific game.
You want to be able to get rhythm is the biggest thing. a lot of that comes down to kind of having a feel for what plays are working and not working in practice. Then you take it to the game, making sure your players, the Kelseys and getting Patrick into rhythm, but they touch the football and you get them involved. I think that's important. But there's also probably the biggest part of any type of play calling is adjustments and being able to adjust within the game.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Take care.
All right, there's Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. We heard from Dave Tobe. We heard from Steve Spagnuolo as well. We will take a timeout. We'll come back, get into things that we heard as the Chiefs get ready to take off and head to Germany. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Sports Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. Right now, we continue talking some Chiefs football as Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, and Matt Nagy at the podium. Let's talk about Dave Tobe real quick. I want to go through some points of each, and then we'll hear from Justin Reed in the locker room before they head off to Germany. Dave Tobe talking about the McCole Hardman muff punt and saying that he's fine with him catching it there, even though McCole Hardman said he was being too greedy, but said fine with him catching it there. He said it was wide open. It was there. They could have got 10 to 15 yards maybe and wouldn't have been starting at your own 6-yard line. Talked about how the punters can put it down at the 1-yard line, all of that stuff. But saying to McCole, about McCole, that you need the fundamentals, that he has to take care of the first things first in catching the football, as we know. The only pushback I would have with that is, while he could have picked up 10 to 15 yards, and this is not something while the ball is in the air, McCole Hardman knows, but Dave Tobe now knows, and we all know after the play was over. But, while he needs fundamentals to catch the ball, and there was 15 yards, it was wide open, and it could have helped him out. Chiefs had 12 men on the field. So even on the muff punt, they were called for 12 men on the field because as the ball was being snapped, they had guys running on and off. So that 15 yards would have been negated anyway. And then you're backed up a little bit more, and then another punt and just catch the ball. But that's also fundamentals in making sure the right guys are out there. And I get it when you're, moving some guys around and there's some IRs and things like that, but it's not like they had a huge rash of injuries, in a couple of weeks, and it's like, wow, who's going to even play special teams anymore? I mean, you had 12 men on the field, and then Jalen Watson leaves the field and Dickerson runs on the field. You already had 12. What are you switching guys up for at that point? Like somebody, and you had 12 men in the huddle in that game. So it's not only like the players were lethargic, maybe you weren't in the game as much. How often have we seen the Chiefs have 12 men in the huddle and then 12 men on the field and special teams? Like those were issues. And then he did talk about it can change with the situations, whether or not you catch the ball. I thought it was interesting when he gave an example of, hey, we're letting this one, go talk to his returner, we're letting this one bounce. We're going to win the game. Game's over. Don't need to catch it. Just go let it bounce. Now, I would love to be able to hack into the mind of Dave Tobe and program him every time he goes to talk to the returner, and he's like, all right, we're going to set up this return. Hey, McCole, we're going to set it. We're letting it bounce. What just happened? McCole, wait. Oh, okay. Every time. Just we're letting it bounce. Don't touch it. Stay away from it. But talking about there's different situations that they get into. Any takeaway from Dave Tobe before we talk Spags and Nagy?
Just specifically on that, I mean, it's a player you just traded for, gave up an actual asset to bring in, and now again they're still talking about, or there was a report they're talking about trading Richie James and what his return is going to be, but it's another redundant skill set thing. If there's not more for McCole Hardman to do, could have left Washington back there until Richie James came back. I mean, some of that I am left a little frustrated by the process of, but it's pretty easy to understand what happened on the muff. He just muffed it. So
didn't catch it. There was a little room there. I don't know if there were 10 to 15 yards, but there was a little room. And there was one guy behind him at the 1-yard line that was around the end zone area and was also being blocked. So if he lets it go, maybe if it bounces into the end zone or it bounces back, either way, I mean, I know there is not a hard and fast rule anymore of heels at the 10 and you don't run backwards.
And I know you don't specifically think this, but if you think that there is a value to returning those punts and specifically a value to having McCole Hardman returning those punts, again, that's an evaluation you made before you ever sent him back out there, and then he muffed it. I mean, it's his mistake and a philosophical choice the Chiefs have made, and a choice they made to reacquire him. And hopefully he'll play a larger role in offense soon too, but that hasn't really happened yet either.
Absolutely. Let's hear in the locker room, Justin Reed, Todd Lebo working the locker room for us. Here is Chief safety Justin Reed from just a bit ago.
You guys are getting ready to get up out of here. What's this trip going to be like? First off, the travel part of it. What's that? Are you prepared to sleep the best way you can on this plane today?
Well, I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning to try and make my day feel longer. So by the time 7, 8 o'clock comes around, that it feel like 9, 10 o'clock. So that's the way that I game plan for it. the flight is going to be what it is, and then once we get there, try and just keep it as business as usual as much as we can.
Let's talk about this offense you guys are going to face. High-powered offense. What's the key to disrupt what the Dolphins do?
This is the most important thing, in my opinion, honestly, is stopping the run. Because, everyone, just likes to look at stats and like to see, Tyreek's leading the league, setting all these records in yardage. But in my opinion, he's getting that because they run the ball well. And when they run the ball well, teams have to load up in the box, which then gives you one-on-one matchups on the outside with Tyreek that he's able to go and do his thing. So the most important piece would be stopping the run, so that way you can make them one-dimensional. And once you know that they're forced into a passing situation, you can obviously put an extra set of eyes on Tyreek to make sure that he isn't taking over the game.
You're an old guy in this defensive backfield room, right? You've played against Tyreek. A lot of these guys, they haven't seen him before. What have you told them about that speed, and is it different than other people? And he's not the only fast guy on the team.
Yeah. The biggest thing is some guys just get up there, and that speed makes them play him differently than you would play anybody else. You know what I mean? And you just can't be afraid. You got to go up there and use your technique, put hands on them when you can, and trust that you're going to have some help over the top.
How much does contact in the line of scrimmage matter when you're dealing with all of these receivers, and including Mostert into some of that?
Yeah, huge. You want to let the fastest guy in the league just have a running start at you? It probably isn't a good recipe for success. So it's important for guys to have confidence when they line up on the line with them. Don't be afraid to get your hands on, and trust that you'll have some help to help you over the top.
And I've watched every second of their games, but I notice a lot of times when they run so many crossing routes, a lot of times you don't even get to hit them. Kind of go out of bounds too. Mm-hmm. Does it maybe take a couple of pops on these guys to get a little intimidation maybe?
Well, a lot of them are speed guys, and they don't want to, have that contact because they don't want to mess up their running form. So I think it's important to be physical when you can. When you have an opportunity to take a shot on them legally, you want to take every one of those, and don't let them just slide down or run out of bounds if you don't have to let them. Make sure you put them on the ground.
So Justin, what is, in plain terms, the way to stop Tyreek Hill?
Stop the run.
There you go. In plain terms. And that's what Steve Spagnuolo was talking about, leading us into that conversation of stop the run. And as he said, those wide receivers, they get a lot of what they do because they run the ball so well. There are a number of things that are the window dressing, the eye candy for the Dolphins offense that try to confuse you. And Spags talked about, we'll be in some things that it won't matter, that they'll be doing those things and it just won't affect what we're doing. And he said, and we'll also be in some things where they start doing that. We got to understand, what responsibilities are going to be and where we're going to be at. But it's interesting. Yesterday was about timing, disrupting timing. The timing. Today is about, the timing's there because they run the ball well. Mm-hmm. So you got to stop the run and play honest. And that was a really quick to the point answer of how do you slow it? Stop the run. That's how you do it.
And that goes back to what we were talking about from a minute who yesterday also, again, negative plays on first down gets everything, that domino run going. If the Dolphins don't run the ball very successfully, I think they could still absolutely win this game and with a very solid offensive performance, but it would require them to do it uncomfortably. If they're running the ball well on first down, if everything is rhythm and timing, they're not going to hit a lot of hitches over the course of their day. Having not yet settled on a full-on prediction, this is sort of an amazing thing that I do feel pretty confident about.
Better hurry up. You only have 5 more hours on the air to figure one out.
I'm gonna get there. I'll have one for tomorrow, I think.
Thank God.
But the thing I feel pretty good about right now is that I think the Chiefs' defense is going to have a nice day. I don't think they're going to shut them out, but we have seen, as we talked about, when you pressure Tua, that's when you've seen their sputtering offensive performances against good teams. I think the Chiefs' defense is ready for a lot of this stuff. There are some bad matchups, and Tyreek Hill's a bad matchup for literally anybody. But I continue to just keep buying stock in this defense. Now, if Willie Gay doesn't play and you're missing Nick Bolton, Maybe it takes a little bit of takes one of the Jenga blocks out, makes the whole thing a little wobblier.
True.
But I'm still right now way more concerned about the structural integrity of the offense than I am the defense, even with the Dolphins being on the team we're talking about.
I like that. Yeah. So you continue the Jenga analogy.
Yeah.
That structural integrity of that Jenga tower. And unfortunately, as you take some things out from the bottom on the offense, and then, of course, you stack that on the top, you are putting more pressure as you stack it on the defense because you're losing things on offense, stacking it on top, and the defense comes more pressure, and then the whole thing comes crashing down.
I think it may have all crashed on Sunday against the Broncos. That might have been the crashing of the offensive Jenga tower.
I hope.
And, right, the good news is, I guess, how long does it take to rebuild that tower? That I'm not sure about.
You can't fix a problem unless you acknowledge you've got one. And I think there's a lot of acknowledging, and there probably was before, but while there's acknowledging this week, there might have been going, it's fixed after the Chargers game. Yeah. We've got some things we need to work on. We did it. We got it, everybody. We figured it out. It's all good. What we've been working on came to fruition. What we talked about, we did it on the field. Now let's just go and keep it going. We're good. And then it all comes crashing down again, and you're going, oh, wait, it wasn't fixed. That was masking in that one good game some issues that were there. Now we need to get back and make sure that those things that we thought were fixed against the Chargers, why did they feel fixed against the Chargers? Why did they come back to bite you? A little deeper dive. Who knows? They've got a long flight to be able to figure that out as well. And Justin Reed waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's a great strategy. I think that's a brilliant strategy. Wake up way too early the day before you take that flight.
Yeah.
You're beginning to pre-trick your body instead of Justin Reed feels jet lagged right now. You're doing it ahead of time. I think that's genius.
It's a Stanford guy.
Wow.
It's next level, dude.
So cerebral.
He's playing chess.
Truman Jones got up at 2 a.m. today. Harvard.
Harvard. Look, you'd understand, Justin, if you went to the Ivy League. But I understand you couldn't get into Harvard, so you had your safety school, Stanford. Not a big deal.
Truman Jones has actually been on German time since Monday. He just set all of his clocks in his house and everything.
That's right. Truman Jones is like, hey, Justin, you know what the S in Stanford stands for, right? It's safety school.
Well, for Justin Reed, it was a safety school. Bang!
We got some sports and leisure coming up at 1 o'clock, presented by Johnny's Tavern.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, you're right.
You should probably come up with some questions there.
I'm just kidding. I got a whole Germany question.
Maybe a German-related stuff.
I got a whole... I'm not going to tell you what the title of the category is, but there is a German-based category ready to go today.
Is it a German and Halloween combination with German chocolate?
I could have done a Halloween one.
You could have done a Halloween one, too.
Well, listen, that would have been a better idea for you to have given me last week.
IMDb smarter about the
Whoa.
holidays that are going on. My goodness.
You can IMDb D's questions. Look at us.
So the trade deadline came and went along with the Halloween day. You're trading candy, and it's crazy because it felt like there wasn't a whole lot of movement, and it was like the third or fourth most trades within the week of the trade deadline that we'd ever seen. There were a lot of ancillary parts, a lot of small parts moving here and there, a couple of big names with Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano at ESPN have a conversation about the trade deadline of who's the winner, the loser. They don't just give one answer. They sort of have this running conversation mixed in with questions that is sort of just typed out as if they were talking. So they were discussing like teams that they thought could make a move or whatever. And Dan Graziano says the Chiefs probably could have benefited from adding a veteran wideout, though I know they weren't out there looking to make any big spends. Says Carolina was also trying to get a receiver and couldn't do it, which has to be disappointing. Jeremy Fowler then weighs in and says, good call on the Chiefs. This is a team hamstrung a bit by cap space and money tied elsewhere. The feeling was Kansas City couldn't maneuver much, and even though Charles Omenihu returned from suspension, the Chiefs would have loved one of those Washington pass rushers, especially Sweat. The Chiefs were in the Montez Sweat market. Something to keep in mind. I want to finish this thought up. Graziano continues, the way the Chiefs are going to win it is if they can do on offense what they did last season on defense, develop their young players through the season so they're playing their best when it matters most. That feels like a long way off for some of these guys right now, but the Chiefs aren't being pushed in their division and have time to make this work. When you're as top-heavy as they are in terms of big cap numbers tied up in stars, this is the way to stay good. Fortunately, they showed last season that it's possible. So, the Chiefs weren't out looking to make any big spends for a veteran wideout. And that was the main one we were talking about is would they make a move for a wide receiver. And Andy Reid's talked about, no, we're good at wide receiver. We like what we have. Matt Nagy, we're fine at wide receiver. We like what we have. But to hear from Jeremy Fowler that even though Charles Omenihu returned from suspension, the Chiefs would have loved one of the Washington pass rushers, especially Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat cost a second rounder.
And a Bears second rounder.
A Bears second rounder, that's true. It bears pointing out that it was their second rounder, which is going to be different than the Chiefs' second rounder. So it might have been a second and a fourth or something like that. Do the math and all the different, numbers and values.
It probably would have been a first for the Chiefs to jump that line. I mean, maybe you get something back, but it was like a first and a...
That's a good point, because it's like it's going to be pick like number 35, or the
really
Chiefs are hopefully pick number 32.
Yep.
So that's what it took to acquire Montez Sweat. Now, maybe the Chiefs weren't willing to go that rich. But also, if you're spending that draft capital, you're signing him. Another indication of Chris Jones is playing his final snaps with the Chiefs this year, that they're already looking at the trade deadline to replace that money that they could have spent on. They ain't signing Chris Jones and a guy like Montez Sweat or Chase Young.
Yeah,
as their defensive end.
That was my immediate first thing was like, okay, that seems like at least another way that they can say, hey, we're just going to be out on Chris Jones as soon as we can, or we're not going to let Chris Jones's maybe derail an option now at bare minimum.
We're already planning our post Chris Jones life.
But also this doesn't make sense to me. Like this is a weird move to get floated out for a team that has 2 first-round edges from the last 2 years. Just got Charles Omenihu back. That didn't bring back Frank Clark. Has a pass rush is performing pretty well right now. I've glossed over Mike Dana, which this show swears never to do.
No, it's a Danimal.
And it would have been a first rounder, or even let's say it would have been their second
and third or something like
that. For a guy who's gonna hit free agency, so you're paying him. the part of this trade that doesn't make sense for me from the Bears side is that if he was just going to stay with Washington, maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe the Bears jumped in because he was going to end up somewhere else and they just loved him. Maybe this is where the Chiefs were interested too. But the Bears gave up that draft pick for half a season of meaningless games for themselves and a head start on negotiating before he becomes a real free agent.
Be able to franchise him if you want to go that route. So
that's true too.
You can't, so he won't get away. So you have him at least 3 years if you want to franchise him twice.
That's not worth the 35th overall pick or whatever for a team that stinks right now, and I don't know what I would have thought about that from the Chiefs side. I would not have been thrilled. It's very interesting, but I have to imagine they were drawing that line a lot cheaper than a second rounder. And Chase Young would have been fun.
It feels like there was an attempt for Brett Veach to get the band back together of another Frank Clark deal. Mm-hmm. You traded a high pick for Frank Clark and you paid him $100 million. If you traded the pick for Montez Sweat, you were paying him $100 million. Because we're seeing what the defensive end market is doing. Nick Bosa and others, that Montez Sweat, when he gets to the free agent market, is going to want a lot of money, and he'll have all the leverage by saying, you just traded that pick for me. Now I'm going to take a lot of money there. Sports or Leisure next.
Food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com. You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, 913-381-810 is the phone number. Play a little sports or leisure. $25 to Johnny's Tavern, Kansas City's premier sports bar, 10 locations, along with Lawrence and Topeka. Johnny's Tavern, and home of the discount that you get the day after a Chiefs game, or the Monday after a Chiefs game, the percentage off a New York-style specialty pizza, dine-in only, for the number of points the Chiefs score. 45% off on Monday. Let's see.
I would love that. That would be great.
We'll find out. Miami, against teams with a winning record, they are 0-2 this year, scoring 19 points per game offensively. That is also something that is heavily discussed around Miami this week. So I think the Dolphins are aware that, hey, you guys are 0-2. It's offense only 18.5 points per game. So this is a team with a winning record. What do you think about that? You know, you guys are 0-2 against teams with a winning record. You guys have won some games, but you haven't really proven it. Who have you played? Have you really even played anybody? You know, I mean, I know you're asking for Alabama, but you really haven't played anybody. Your schedule sucks. There's a reason why you're not being voted very high right now. They've heard it all week.
I had Georgia 1, Miami 2, personally, but committee disagreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Having Georgia number 2, Ohio State number 1. We'll find out what ends up happening there. Jeremy Fowler is in Frankfurt, where it's dark right now, so that's cool. Good to know.
I don't know how to tell you this, but that's Ed Werder.
No, but it was earlier. That's Ed Werder right now in Dallas. Yes.
I didn't see Jeremy Fowler on TV. That's Ed Werder, though.
It's because the TVs are behind
they
you.
They look very similar. I understand it's a common mistake, but
they both have great hair.
That is Ed Werder.
They both have great hair, but that is, yes, with the Cowboys behind him. But Jeremy Fowler was
that's also probably not Germany, Jason. That's probably Dallas.
It's Frisco, Texas, not Dallas.
Well, that's a good point. That's probably
Idiot.
Texas. Shame on me.
So stupid.
If only they were named something stupid like the Texans, I would have at least remembered the state for sure.
Duh. 913-381-810. We'll play a little sports or leisure. As we get ready to give the categories, this is another on the bottom line was scrolling on NFL
I gotta
Network.
start looking at the TVs over here more often. This is fascinating.
No, you're fine. They're giving out like the fantasy football rankings and everything, and their flex rankings are like number 1, Alvin Kamara, number 2, Tyreek Hill, number 3, Jamar Chase, number 4, Stephon Diggs, number 5, A.J. Brown, number 6, Travis Kelce. I'm like, are you playing in a league with 2 people if your flex player is Jamar Chase?
This is a great take. This has bothered me for a long time.
Why are you ranking those guys as like, I get it. Like, well, it's really running back, wide receiver, tight ends that we're ranking. Cool. Then put RB/WR/tight end ranking so we just know overall skill players, non-quarterbacks, these are the rankings of them. Typically, when you see like top 100s, it's without the quarterback in there. It's a separate category.
Right.
So it's like top 150, top 100. Those aren't flex players. Those are freaking starters on your team unless you are playing with you and a buddy as your fantasy football league. No, we play each other every week.
I guess with daily fantasy and stuff
pumped.
now.
I'm going to play in the Super Bowl this year.
With daily fantasy, that might matter some, I guess. But that has annoyed me for a while also. I don't have an answer because I don't know where you make that cutoff. Do you cut it off at 20? Is it, well, then now you're okay. So now you're putting your 21st guy out there. But I am with you. It is an unnecessarily specific ranking format. If only we had I don't know. This is gonna sound insane. Like ESPN's premier fantasy analyst. If we get a hold of him once a week, maybe we could ask him about it. Just dawned on me.
If you've got the contact,
bring me Eric Carabell
right now. Damn it. But I was looking up, and it was number 3, Jamar Chase. Number 4, Tyreek Hill. And I'm like, is this like a stardom?
Yeah, right.
Flex rankings.
Hey, good football players, Tyreek Hill.
Stardom every week. Always love that. Stardom. Patrick Mahomes, I'd start him. Jalen Hurts, start him. Jamar Chase, go ahead and start him this weekend. If you're wondering, should I or should I not start Jamar Chase, who had yet another game of 10 receptions and 100 yards and a touchdown, I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and start him. I think I've got a future in this fantasy football advice thingy.
I mean, look, if you're playing in a league with only flex players, you might not start Travis Kelce. If you've got, if it's like a 2-team league and you've only got 3 flex spots, I don't know where he ends up, but
number 6 apparently on their list. All right, 913-381-0810. Here are the categories for a little sports or leisure. How you play. You give us a call. You get a sports question. You get a leisure question. You get them both right. You win. Either of those questions answered incorrectly, you lose. The question is out there available for someone to call in and request. We do not give out the right answer until it is answered correctly or we have simply run out of time to play. That's how you play the game. Categories today. We have some more tailor-made. These are not football players. These are just athletes.
Throughout sport.
Love it. / tailor-made. We have German Chiefs. These are Chiefs players who were born in Germany.
Interesting.
We have NFL questions, some Chiefs-specific questions, Major League Baseball, and then Royals World Series questions that we threw out there last week in a category. A lot of different categories on the sports side today. What about on the leisure?
Carabell Superflex rankings also include quarterbacks.
It's a super flex. It could be a 2-quarterback league.
I don't need to know to start Lamar Jackson. My 4 categories.
If you're in a 2-quarterback, I'm in a 2-quarterback league. Should I start Lamar Jackson or not?
I'm in a 2-quarterback league. I have Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. What do I do? Trade one or stop playing fantasy football. My 4 leisure categories for you today are what could at IMDb TV. I'll give you the plot synopsis of a TV show on IMDb, and you're going to tell me what the show is. The pun name game. Hopefully people will figure that out at this point. We have The Leftovers, which is a newly created grab bag of some questions that we've, maybe not gotten to from the Broncos or Chargers or whatever. If you're not feeling confident, take a grab bag question. And You're Making Me Crazy, questions that are in some way, shape, or form connected to Germany. Maybe a fun fact, maybe a historical fact, just something German-based. And I'll tell you what, you cowards calling in, if you don't take these German questions this week, they're going into the grab bag.
Either knock them out now
or get sneak attacked by them later.
That's right. Gonna sneak up on you. All right, 913-381-0810. I'm ready to go. Josh, you good to go?
I am so good to go. Dylan, you ready to go?
Sure.
Yeah.
Little jet lag. He's been up since 3 a.m.
I get it.
Trying to get a body clock.
It's so smart. Typically when I'm my most tired at night is when I didn't get enough sleep the night before.
I also
brilliant.
I told Dylan I want him to be in regular primetime game form for the post-game show.
Yeah.
So we're both going to be exhausted at like 11:30 a.m., just drained.
Ready to go home and go to bed at like 2.
I'm going to watch 8 hours of Red Zone just on tape. I'm going to replay last week's Red Zone at home.
You're going to watch the film, rewinding, playing.
I am just watching Scott Hansen
film. Scott Hansen. You did stumble over your words here, Scott. I mean, this is one. It could have been a better throw.
Definitely.
You really missed the mark on that one. All right, let's go to the phone lines. 913-381-0810. Avery leading us off here on Sports Radio 810 WHB on a Thursday. Sports or leisure, Avery, what side would you like to start with?
Josh, you're making me crazy.
Happy to do it to you.
I'm right in your camp, Avery.
One of the youthful finders of a golden ticket in Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was a, quote, great big greedy nincompoop 9-year-old from the fictional town of Dusselheim, Germany. Who is it?
Augustus Gloop.
Bang!
Run home, Charlie. Run as fast as you can and don't stop till you get there. All right, on to the sport. I mean, I've never heard of that character. Is he in the regular Charlie? I mean,
Augustus Gloop? Oh, yeah, that's one of the only kids other than, I guess, Charlie, who I would have been able to name, I think.
Yeah, I have no
There's
idea.
Blueberry Girl, but I don't know.
I know Blueberry Girl.
Apparently Augustus Gloop is from a fake
I
Germany.
want a golden goose now, Daddy. Which one's that one? Is that Augustus Gloop?
It might be Augustus Gloop. I'm not sure. Violet Beauregard. Thank you, Dylan.
Violet turned violet.
That makes
All right.
sense.
You're turning violent.
All right, on to the sports side. We got TaylorMade, we got German Chiefs, we got NFL, also a subset with Chiefs questions in the NFL, Major League Baseball, and Royals World Series.
Let's go TaylorMade.
TaylorMade for you. Okay. All right. This Kansas City Royal hit a walk-off in his Major League debut. He is connected to 2 different wits and played Little League with Nick Prado.
Michael A. Taylor?
No.
Whoa!
Michael A. Taylor. Avery in your bleeping face!
Take that, you great big greedy nincompoop!
Yeah! Huh?
Well, I love Lebo.
Avery.
Thanks, Avery.
Appreciate it, brother. No, I thought, well, nice. Okay.
Michael
All
A.
right.
Taylor was also the first name that popped in my head, but I think you said his Major League debut, right? Not his Royals debut. Like, all right, I don't know.
Well, he made his Major League debut with the Royals and had a walk-off.
That's what helped me get
so-
away from Michael A. Taylor.
So that
but,
one is available.
You know, the A stands for Avery. Michael Avery Taylor. That's why he guessed him.
Cool. Good for him. I don't think that's right, though. T-Box, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. T-Box, what side do you want to start with?
How about just a regular Major League Baseball?
Regular Major League Baseball for you. Okay. Corey Seager recorded his 19th career postseason home run. They didn't all come against the Diamondbacks. It just felt that way. That's the second most all-time for shortstops. Which shortstop has more postseason home runs than Corey Seager's 19?
Well, it's damn sure not Ernie Banks.
Nope, it is not.
Feel safe with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think. Not A-Rod.
Nope. You should have shot A-Rod.
I know. Trying to think of shortstop. It had to be more modern.
Yeah.
Michael Anthony Taylor, by the way.
Is it Anthony?
Anthony.
Ant?
That's not a hint for you, T-Box.
Ant Honey.
Exactly right.
Great.
I'll throw a total dart. I'll throw Nomar Garcia P.S.
No, it's not.
Oh, good to hear Nomar Garcia Parra's name on the radio, though.
Nope.
I was hoping you were giving me the World Series one with 2 MVPs. I had that nailed.
You're like, come on, I got this.
When you said Corey Seager.
You're just going to blood out the answer. It's like, no, it's not.
Lebo's okay. I love Petro. Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it. 913-3810. Now we're just shouting out people we like.
Including Nomar Garcia Parra. I hated that mother bleeper.
Well, here's the thing. We're shouting.
Put your gloves on, dude.
They're tight already. Understand?
Those have to be fine.
You didn't even swing.
Do it in the pitch clock era, Nomar.
You didn't even swing. Why are you adjusting your batting gloves? The bat was on your shoulder.
Never moved.
The whole time. So apparently now we are shouting out our feelings on Lebo and then somebody you may or may not like if Lebo is not at the top of the list, which I don't know how he wouldn't be.
Yeah, got to be 1-1.
Let's go to Sean next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sean, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
What's up, guys? I haven't called in a couple weeks. I'm trying to give me a gift card today.
Well, let's do it, man. Let's get you one. You want to start with the sports side to get a gift card or the leisure?
I think I may have the answer to that Taylor question.
You want to try that one?
Yeah, I believe, was the guy's name Samad Taylor?
That is correct.
Hey.
Samad Taylor, Royals debut, hits a walk-off, connected with two Wits, plays with Bobby and was traded for Whit Merrifield, and played Little League with Nick Prado, which I found out this last year. So Samad Taylor.
That was back in June, right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So there you go. Samad Taylor on to the leisure side with Josh.
What category would you like?
What do we got?
We got what could IMDb TV? We got the pun name game. We got You're Making Me Crazy about Germany, and then grab bag of leftovers from weeks past.
Let's go with the Germany. You're making me crazy. Let's do that.
From top to bottom, name the colors of the German flag in order. I put this on here because I had to do it in my head, and I was like, I'm not sure I would have gotten that confidently.
It's like red, yellow, and black, but what's the order? I think it's red, yellow, black. What's the order? Or maybe...
The only reason I know this now is because I've seen it so much over the last few days. I mean, like the Chiefs' Twitter account and everything is, yeah. That's the main reason.
I think it's, so we're going from top to bottom?
Top to bottom.
Yes, sir.
I think it's black. I think black is on top. Maybe yellow, red. Or red, yellow. Oh, shoot.
Go ahead and throw a dart.
I think it's black, red, yellow, maybe.
Hallelujah, you're making me nervous, but you're making me crazy.
You're making me nervous. That's a layup for you, Josh.
Sorry, I was
How'd you
right
miss
there.
it?
I was so worried you were going to say black, yellow, red. That's absolutely correct.
Black and yellow,
Black,
and red.
black and red and yellow. Red and yellow. It doesn't quite work.
It's the first version.
It works for you because you're going to
There you
Johnny's.
go. Nice job. Winner, Sean.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Winner, Johnny's dinner is right there for us, too. I mean, lunch,
was.
whatever, but, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to go to dinner there. You can have lunch, get there early enough, have breakfast. I don't think they serve it, but, give it a shot.
Just show up.
Give it a shot.
Say, hey,
Who knows?
Jason Anderson said you'd make me breakfast. I'm looking for someone named Johnny.
Hello?
There Jonathan
Somebody
in here?
there? John!
Do you want to know something crazy about Nomar Garciaparra?
Jonathan! What's up?
His name comes from his father. And actually,
What?
Nomar's his middle name.
His name? He was named by his parents?
Well, he's named after his father, sort of.
Yes, he was named after his father. His father came first, so he had the name, and then his father named his son after his dad was named.
His father was named Ramon.
Oh, Ramon.
It's Nomar backwards. I learned that just now, and I am shattered.
And a lot of people don't
know. His name is Nomar because it's Roman backwards.
A lot of people don't realize it's Ramon. Ramon. A lot of people don't realize that Nomar Garciaparra's dad was named after Pixar's Cars. Ramon, the lowrider.
That is an incredibly hard to find fun fact, but boy, it is fun.
Let's go to Charles next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-381-810 is the phone number to play a little sports or leisure. Charles, what side do you want to start with?
Let's do that Corey Seager question.
All right, Corey Seager has recorded 19 career postseason home runs, the second most all-time for shortstops. What shortstop has more postseason home runs than Seager's 19? Not Nomar Garciaparra. We've eliminated him. So would have the pitch clock. What do you say? Shortstop with more than Corey Seager's 19 home runs in the postseason.
Jeter.
It is Jeets.
It is Jeter? Wow.
Yeah, he's a biracial angel. You should have shot A-Rod. That is correct, sir. On to leisure with Josh.
What category would you like?
Let's do the You're Making Me Crazy.
What century? I'm giving you a 100-year window here. What century had the first Oktoberfest?
Wow. Century.
First Oktoberfest.
21st?
You know, Nomar Garciaparra and Mia Hamm are married?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I feel like I did know that, but it's been so long that I'm basically relearning it now.
It's Mia Hamm Garciaparra.
Sorry.
It's actually no more ham.
Her mom's name is actually Aim.
I got it.
Thank you.
What
century?
What if his name was No More Ham?
Okay,
I'll just take it.
I'm here for PETA. It's me, No More Ham.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Jason. No more ham. Okay,
I
great.
wasn't gonna
Turkey?
give you
I mean,
any.
I wasn't hungry anyway. What this weirdo over here?
First century was like 1800s, right?
That's absolutely correct. The first Oktoberfest was in 1810.
How about that?
How about that?
That's 1-8-10.
That's exactly right. I mean, really.
I'll always
Not
remember
three,
that.
it's one.
You're right. Wow,
No,
I
there's only
will
one.
probably remember that.
There's only 1-8-10.
There's
in your
1-8-10.
hearts. There's only one real 8-10.
And there was one Oktoberfest and 1-8-10.
That's exactly right.
There's way more than one Johnny's, though.
That's right. There's 10 of them, and you can go to any of the 10 locations, Charles, because you're going there with $25 in hand by winning Sports or Leisure. Charles, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it.
Just what I needed.
Yes, sir.
I like
There's
this.
a winner.
Everyone testing out new sign-offs today is awesome. I really like that.
Because it's just what I needed. I hate Lebo. Don't worry, you won't see him when you come up to gather your prize.
I will not take this gift card unless Todd Lebo personally hands it to me.
Let's go to Matt is next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Playing a little Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. Matt, what side would you like to start with, the sports side or the leisure side?
Let's go with the Chiefs players born in Germany.
All right, German Chiefs here. Oh, let's see. Which one do I want to go with here? All right, this Auburn graduate was born in Frankfurt and lived there until he was 8 years old, with his dad being in the military. He did not play football until late in high school. He would go on to be a 3-year starter at Auburn. In his time with the Chiefs, he scored 24 touchdowns, rushing and receiving, while blocking for Marcus Allen, Priest Holmes, and Larry Johnson. He, in fact, helped pave the way for Priest Holmes' career in Kansas City, going to Dick Vermeil and stepping aside so Priest could take over as the starting running back.
That's got to be T. Rich.
T. Rich, that's right. Spent the first 8 years of his life in Frankfurt, Germany on a military base. That is correct, sir. On to leisure with Josh.
What category would you like?
Let's keep the Germany theme rolling today.
Let's keep it German. Germany's highest peak is in which mountain range?
Yeah.
Which mountain range is that?
But it's not an unfair question. You'd agree?
No,
right? It's a
that's
good,
in German.
quality question.
It's a question about
It's a
Germany.
thinker. You got to think about it for a second.
It'd be weird if you just said this German discovered something in Asia. That was like,
a good point.
Well, that has nothing to do, really. But no, it's
I do have something
geography.
about a German founder of something that we'll get to.
That's fine.
It's a very good one. But the highest peak in Germany is in which mountain range? It's one you've heard of, I promise.
Really? Is it?
I think so.
Okay. Dylan said one that I've never heard of, so
Dylan
I'm
looked
going to
something
guess
up.
it is not that. So
Well,
that might be more specific there.
Should-
So what you just said, Dylan, is supposedly Germany's highest mountain, but the question is in which mountain range?
Oh, yes, that's right. Can
I
we
would not ask you to name the specific
what?
mountain. That would be unfair.
Matt, do you want to phone a friend and call Frank Bowl? He's probably climbed it.
he's probably hit that peak.
Yeah, he has peaked
I got to go with is it the Alps?
That's what I had. Dylan is uncertain, but that's what I was looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and take that right
Hey,
now.
even if it's wrong, you're a winner.
That's exactly right.
Even if if you're wrong on this show, you're right, Matt. Okay.
Dylan says he's wrong, which means you and I are both right.
That's right.
And now you get to rightly go to Johnny's.
That's right as well. And it might have to take a left to get there. But Matt, thank you for playing, sir. We'll put you on hold, get your information. Congrats.
Thanks, fellas.
You're welcome.
Several rights do make a Johnny's, I think.
Yeah, you'll have to take a right and probably a left to get there, unless it's just a straight shot. But then you probably have to park, one way or another. So
I would make sure you drive one of your cars that can steer either direction.
2 rights don't make a wrong.
But 3 do.
3 rights.
Make a left.
Left, actually. Let's go to Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Can I hear the categories?
Yes, sir. On the sports side, we have TaylorMade. We have German Chiefs. We have a Major League Baseball question left. We have Royals World Series questions. And then we have NFL and then also Chiefs-specific NFL questions. A lot of categories on the sports. What about on the leisure? You want to hear the leisure questions too?
Yeah, yes, please.
We got what could IMDb TV, the pun name game, Jermaking Me Crazy, and then the grab bag.
Let's do the pun name game.
Ooh, let's
I got
do
beat on it last week, so I want to try it
You know
again.
what? Yeah. Keep firing.
The Chiefs didn't bring back Frank Clark, but they did sign this former Chiefs D lineman to the practice squad last week. He probably won't see the field anytime soon as the Chiefs defense continues to sing, much like the American jazz singer sometimes referred to as the First Lady of Song or the Queen of Jazz.
Oh, my God.
I'm mad at myself for this
You
one.
should be.
This one's upsetting, but if you get it, you're going to get there. We're going to work together.
Oh, my God.
Who did the Chiefs just re-sign a little bit ago?
That's what I'm trying to think of.
Okay. All right, start there.
Man.
Jason, Dylan, either of you guys cooking on this one?
Oh, I know it.
You know it the whole way through?
Yeah, I'm just not happy with you for it. Because it's difficult. I mean,
You got it. This is the first part you can know. Yeah, it's,
I wouldn't have got the second part without the first part.
I'm at a disadvantage because I didn't see who he signed.
Former D lineman.
Got a Super Bowl ring.
Interior D lineman. Played with the Bears.
Yep.
And made his
Won a Super Bowl with us in 19.
He did. Did not play the whole season. It's more one of those mid-season acquisitions by Beach.
Gosh. Man. Shouldn't have picked this category. Oh, dang it.
I don't want this to be a category you fear, but
it's Josh's fault, really. I mean, he's
they're
probably
getting.
got,
Look, I've done a
he's
lot
got
of
like
these.
15 of them over there.
I've done a lot of these. They definitely have to get more convoluted at some point. I've run out of Patrick Mahomes and Gardens or whatever.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me write that down.
What about Maato?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes and Maato. I can work on it.
Let's go Bobby Scipio.
I still have Bobby Scipio or Brother Martha written down, but I haven't fleshed it out yet.
Why did you go with that one? Andrew, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. Sorry you started with Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's fine.
My mistake.
Yours and many others.
That's right. There we go. 913-381-0810. 913-381-0810.
That question is out there if you know it, callers.
That's right. Let's go to Ryan next up. 913-381-0810. Ryan, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's do leisure. Did you get the categories again?
Yep. We got the pun name game and the one you just heard. We've got IMDb TV. We got Jermaking Me Crazy and the grab bag, the leftovers.
I'll do IMDb.
The slice of life adventures of an Australian blue heeler cattle dog puppy as she has fun with her family and friends in everyday situations.
You got any kids, Ryan?
You got kids, Ryan? I should ask you this one first.
Not young enough that would know that show.
This is one of Jason's favorites.
Mom! Boom, boom, boom,
actually don't know this.
boom, 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 boom. Dad! Bingo! Ryan?
Yeah.
Your turn.
You could just
and go.
You could say it right now if you have it. If you got it,
If you know
just
it.
say it right now.
That I led you all the way. That was the whole theme
The whole
song.
thing, all
I
the way
figured
up
that was
until-
the dead ringer, dead giveaway. If you didn't know it, boom, that theme song definitely popped right in your head.
Blue healers?
That's in the prompt. That's in the prompt. On the Adventures of an Australian Blue Heater Cattle Dog Puppy. That's that's not the name of the show.
It's really kind of a family of them, you know.
Yeah,
It's like,
with fun with her family and friends and
Yeah,
in situations.
really,
yeah.
if you watch it, you don't even know who the main character is.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah, you don't-
interesting.
you really
Okay, I
don't.
didn't even really know that. I sort of
Sometimes it's bingo.
no
Sometimes,
idea.
yeah. Ryan, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it, sir. I don't know that that's one you could just sort of throw a dart and
Sorry,
and
I gave
guess.
you yeah, you know.
Yeah. Let me just say, the dad, he can go to hell.
Whoa.
You know?
Whoa.
Yeah. You know what?
Really?
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
Sometimes dads are busy. Sometimes dads can't always play games with their children. Sometimes dads, at any waking moment of their child's need to play some imaginary game or dress up or arts and crafts or things out in the yard, that immediately dad is like, oh, well, let's do it. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it, guys. Let's go out. Oh, of course. Oh, dad's amazing. Yeah. To heck with you, dad.
Rough week at home?
More like a roof.
Listen, we've been telling you about our friends at Tickets for Less pretty much forever, for pretty much anything, and that's the good news. When you need tickets for your next event, make sure Tickets for Less is your go-to for the best selection of seats with no added service fees. Plus, you can find tickets to all the best events, including the Chiefs, college football, and basketball, as well as the best concerts. Shop Tickets for Less and save just for being a listener. Use promo code 810 today to...
Categories, go through those real quick as we go back to the phone lines. A couple of open phone lines right now, but 913-381-0810. The categories on the sports side, tailor-made. Questions about athletes that have Taylor in their name, either first or last, or I don't know, maybe middle. German Chiefs players that were born in Germany. We have NFL questions. We also have a subcategory with just Chiefs NFL questions. And then we have Major League Baseball and Royals World Series. A lot of categories on the sports side.
We got 4 on the leisure. What could it IMDb TV? We got the pun name game with 1 question currently out there. You're making me crazy, some German trivia, and the leftovers, a grab bag of questions that I've written in weeks past that never got picked just then. So you can throw a dart and take your shot there. Also, real quick on the Chiefs front, Matt Derrick tweeted out video from practice today. Willie Gay on the practice field, and Tommy Townsend, who was limited yesterday, had a bandage on his right hand. He was limited out on the field as well, according to Matt Derrick.
Yeah, he was limited with a hand yesterday, so typically he's not going to need his hand, except for the fact that he has to catch the punt and hold.
Yeah. And on his right hand, I'm wondering what... You got a
That's
bandage,
his,
though, Matt says.
That's a spinny hand. Too.
Right, that's the
catch and then the spinner.
James Winchester's got to be on it.
Yep. Let's go to the phone lines, and we bring in JJ next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. JJ, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
I got to knock out that Bluey question because that song's stuck in my head now.
You're damn right it is. You're damn right it is. Huh? And JJ, I guarantee you're a worse father than Bluey's dad.
You know it.
At least that's the way they make us feel.
Wow, I'm really sorry that Bluey's dad has caused so much problems in your guys'
Makes everybody feel insecure as a father.
Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
Yeah, cool, great. Oh, yeah, You know what? Some people have to work there, Bluey. It's dad.
Next IMDb TV question I got, I'll give you a show that has a worse father figure in it, just to try to make you feel a little better.
Thank you.
I got a couple options.
Named Al Bundy. Great. All right, on to the sports side. What category are you thinking, JJ?
Sports side, just give me, what do you say, NFL?
Yeah, there's a general NFL, and there's also an NFL category with Chiefs questions. Questions about Chiefs and Chiefs answers.
Yeah, let's do the Chiefs one.
All right, Chiefs one for you. Rashee Rice coming into his own over the last couple of weeks. He had 72 yards receiving in the first game against the Broncos. Since 1980, name either of the top 2 Chiefs rookies to have the most receiving yards in a game. Either of the top 2 Chiefs records for a rookie receiving yards in a game.
Oh, wow.
I'll tell you, both of them have been since the turn of the century. In fact, let me look one up to see how.
That is a good one. Chiefs rookies.
Yep, Chiefs rookies. Yeah, so they're definitely both since the turn of the century. One of them, connection to the station.
Mark Bo Richter.
Is that an answer?
Yes.
Mark Bo Richter is right. Well done. Mark Bo Richter, the second most receiving yards by a rookie in a single game against the San Diego Chargers when he had 144 yards receiving in a game as a rookie. Mark Bo Richter. Anybody want to throw a dart? Not Dylan. He's got the answers in front of him, but want to throw a dart as to which rookie the most?
I'm the only other one here, and I may not have gotten the exact wording of the question.
It's just a Chiefs rookie receiver with the most receiving yards in a
one game.
Yep.
Is Bo Richter second?
Bo Richter second. The game in which Mr. 99.
Did Dwayne Bowe beat him out?
D-Bo Show.
Go!
Dwayne Bowe had 164 against the San Diego Chargers.
Wow.
Yeah, both against the Chargers. There we go, on to the leisure side with Josh.
Dwayne Bluey. It was your answer,
that's right.
One, actually.
That's right.
So.
JJ got Bluey and Bo and Bo Richter. Nice job,
yeah,
JJ.
really.
We'll put you on hold and get your information. Well done. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, fellas.
The real killer bees that Bo,
right.
Baldwin, and Breston could never actually deliver.
Nope.
Bo Richter, and Bluey, however.
That's right.
That's a hell of a trio.
Hell of a trio. Yeah, how about that? Mark Bo Richter. I bet he already knew that. Second most receiving yards in a game in Chiefs history for a rookie. Behind the Bow Show. Let's go to Landon next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 913-3810810 is the phone number. Landon, what side do you want to start with, sports or leisure?
Hey, guys, I'll start with sports.
All right, what category are you thinking?
I'll do the Royals World Series.
Royals World Series for you. Okay. Do you want a more recent of the 14 and 15 or back in the 80/85 names?
Yeah, I'm 23, bringing down your station demographic to this, so I'll do the most recent.
Get the hell out of here until you next year give us a call. Let's see which one for the okay. In 2014 and 2015, the Royals won 7 World Series games. Of those 7 games, 3 Royals pitchers got a win, recorded a win in the game. A lot of wins going to the bullpen. But 7 wins in the World Series, 3 starters got a win. Name 2 of the starters to get a win.
Okay. Yordano Ventura's one.
That's one. That's why I went with 2, because I think Ventura would have been the one that quickly was guessed. But yes, Ace is correct. One of the other 2 that got a win.
And then we'll go with the GOAT, Jeremy Guthrie.
J Guts got one. Do you know who the third one is? If I would have asked you who all 3, Landon. It's a hell of a song about him that came out when the Royals acquired him.
Was that Chris Young and Johnny Cueto?
Johnny Cueto. There you go. Jeremy Guthrie, Yordano Ventura, and Johnny Cueto got World Series wins for the Royals in the 14 and 15 World Series. 7 wins that they got in those 2 years. Landon, over with leisure, right? That was
right.
Just the sports?
That's right. We started with sports there, so
I'm lost.
I'm
still flustered by Bluey's dad.
I get it, man. Bluey's dad would remember if it was sports or leisure time now.
Now he's haunting me at work.
What could IMDb TV, the pun name game, You're Making Me Crazy, or The Leftovers? What do you like?
I'll do the IMDb TV.
Perfect. He was the star. This is the worst father figure in this one. He was the star of the hit television show Horsing Around in the 80s and 90s, but now he's washed up, living in Hollywood, complaining about everything, and wearing colorful sweaters.
Is that the BoJack Horseman?
That's exactly the BoJack Horseman. Wow, so now we've gone Bo Richter, and BoJack all in the last couple of answers. And Bluey, of course.
Yeah, Bluey started the whole thing.
And Bluey's dad. Bluey's damn dad. BoJack Horseman's very good, but
I've never seen it.
It is it's an animated show.
I know of it, but I just have never seen it.
It gets dark. It gets dark eventually.
Okay,
it's
cool.
not a kid show, but very, very good.
Yes. I was explaining to my mom yesterday because she was like, "Oh, the Christmas present." I'm like, "Well, Jules loves Bluey." She was like, "What's Bluey?" And I go, "It's a cartoon." My son goes, "It's not a cartoon." I'm like, okay, yeah, sorry.
All right, kid.
Sorry. You explain. What is it then?
I bet you wish you were in that cartoon where you could have Bluey's dad instead of me, right?
Oh, I bet Bluey's dad would have said it's an animated series for kids.
It's a cartoon, right? I mean,
good God.
Hold on. It's 100% a cartoon.
It is absolutely a cartoon.
Your kids being a bleep.
Which is typically what Bluey's dad makes us all feel like. Landon, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. What are you talking about?
Where does your son learn to be such a pretentious, detail-oriented stickler for the absolute definition of things?
Not from his dad, I'll tell you that.
Oh no, it was from you. Where did your kid learn to be so pedantic? Oh, you again. That makes sense.
I learned it from listening to you, Dad. I'm like, no, here's the thing, son. Daddy's the one getting corrected.
That's fair, I guess.
I don't need to be then corrected at home too, son. It's a damn cartoon.
I'm really worried about the number that the TV show Bluey is doing to your family.
I actually really like Bluey. It's one of the more enjoyable kids shows that they watch. I laugh. I find myself laughing.
Now hold on. This says Bluey is a 6-year-old puppy.
Yeah.
That's not I mean, in dog years maybe, but a 6-year-old blue heeler is like elderly, at least middle-aged.
The dad shouldn't even be around.
No.
Let's go to Matt next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Matt, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Is there a Bluey category?
Is there an
I'll work
entire-
on one for next week.
What country are they from? Is it filmed in? It's Australian.
That makes sense.
By the way, Josh.
Australian
They're
blue
all-
healer. Okay,
they're
got
Australian.
it. Do you know who voices Bandit Healer? You have no way of knowing, but the name of the voice actor is David McCormick.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He's got range and height.
Great Jayhawk.
David McCormick voicing Blue.
That's awesome. Good for him, man. I
Okay.
didn't know that. We need to get him on the show.
We really need
Talk
to.
basketball and Bluey.
I think that'd be great.
It's great.
Good to have
What
seven
category are you
careers.
thinking, Matt? Sports or leisure side first?
I'll try Fun Name Game.
There's one out there right now. Have you heard that one yet?
I just tuned in. Haven't heard anything yet.
Why don't you give him that one?
Let me
since it's
read
already
you
out
this one.
there,
Yes.
and then you can have a fresh one if you want it.
I think that's only fair. The Chiefs didn't bring back Frank Clark, but they did sign this former Chiefs defensive lineman to the practice squad last week. He probably won't see the field anytime soon as the Chiefs defense continues to sing, much like the American jazz singer, sometimes referred to as the First Lady of Song or the Queen of Jazz.
Or a fresh one.
You let that simmer for a second, though.
Yeah, just let it marinate a little bit.
I think I know the second part.
Oh, you can talk through it.
I mean, if you want that one to talk through it, or you want a fresh one to
What do you think about
Oh,
the
you know what? I think I got it.
Okay.
How about Mike Pinella Fitzgerald?
Yes. Nice job, Matt. I
Absolutely
love that.
excellent work.
Nice job. On to the sports side, sir. What category are you thinking?
You'll have to remind me what they are.
All good. We've got tailor-made. We've got German Chiefs. We have NFL questions and then a Chiefs subset category of NFL questions. Major League Baseball and then Royals World Series.
Let's try TaylorMade.
TaylorMade for you. Okay. You know what? You just tuned in, so let's do this one. Now a Minnesota Twin. This former Royal was brought in to solidify the center field position, playing just 2 seasons in Kansas City before being traded. He did win a Gold Glove, and he really likes every one of his initials.
It'll be Michael A. Taylor.
That's exactly right. Not Michael B. Taylor, but Michael A. Taylor. Correct, sir. And you are heading to Johnny C. Tavern. $25 is heading your way. Matt, congrats. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. There's another one. There's Johnny's Tavern, $25 heading his way in sports or leisure. Michael A. Taylor. We will take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up the show, and any questions that we have out there and unanswered, we'll give you those on the other side of the break. The program coming up next, one more segment as we wrap things up on this Thursday and wrapping up sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. More next. All right, let's stop the complaints about Bluey's dad.
We've been talking about Bluey in the break pretty much
right.
the whole time. I just want to know where their money comes from. Why is it Bluey's dad at work?
Yeah. Why isn't he at work? Why are they
Or Bluey's mom?
Why are the four of them always together?
What do the four of them do to make money?
That's what they put the kids to work. I don't know. Apparently.
Throw a dog a bone.
Yeah, you know what they do? They film TV shows. That's what they do.
Hey, I guess that's sort of
They're dogs. They have people owners.
Listen, Adam is just like
Adam
distraught.
not until 2.
Adam is distraught. Like his face. What do you guys? They're dogs. Like
Okay.
they don't actually work. No. They're living, breathing, talking animals. They're dogs.
All dogs are
but they're
living
like
and,
us.
All dogs are living and breathing, just so we're on
Yeah,
the same
but
page.
I think in their world, they're their dogs with their own little families, but they just don't acknowledge the fact that they have human keepers.
No, they live in a house without humans there.
That, as far as you know.
This is so there's no humans anywhere in the world that you see, correct?
No, it's
Okay, so
dogs and other animals and things like that.
now do the dogs have smaller pets? Do the dogs have like bugs as pets or anything?
actually have a human on a
whoa!
on a leash? It's weird. It's like
I like Adam's
Planet
theory.
of the Apes.
Adam's theory is that this is all being filmed in a Truman Show situation where the dogs themselves may not even know, but like there is an overlord
like,
somewhere.
Like Stewie and Brian can
Yes.
hear each other, but nobody else.
Wow,
sort of like
Ooh,
that.
maybe. That's
so those
good.
dogs can hear it, and then just the humans are just not there in the world, in the universe that they're presenting to the to people watching, but they are actually there.
I think there's a dark overlord somewhere in there. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. Questions that we did not get answers to.
We got Mike Pinella Fitzgerald, so
which
we're
was
good on
the
my
big
side.
one. That's it. We got answers to every question that we had out there. How about that? Very good.
We had some losers today, but we had people
Whoa.
ready to. Whoa, that's not what I meant.
People that didn't win.
Sorry, we had people who didn't win, and also Bluey's dad.
He's not a loser.
Well.
He just makes everybody feel like one. All right.
bully.
Yeah, that's
He's a Bluey.
he's a dad bully. Oh, you're not good enough dad.
Stay
All right.
strong, Jason.
That'll do it for Thursday. Don't forget we got Thursday Night Football coming your way tonight after the program, which comes your way right now.